What is going on, everybody? The Xbox 2 podcast is now live on this beautiful Friday, October 21st. And with me, as always, my co-host, my right-hand man, the one, the only, Jez Corden of Windows Central. What's going on, buddy?
Hey man, it's certainly going. It's been a week this week. Definitely been one of the weeks of the year, I would say. Definitely one of the weeks, but we're still alive so far. So that's something, right? That's a good thing, isn't it? Possibly.
Yes, possibly. Man, I gotta say this. It's finally starting to turn into fall here in Chicago, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It just seemed like this summer just went on way too long with this ridiculous temperatures, and now we're finally getting into that, like, well, recently because of a cold front, it was like a high of 45 degrees here, which I'm good with. But now we're finally getting into that little chillier weather, which I love so much. And the clocks go back soon. I don't know about you guys, but I love it when it's absolutely pitch black at 6 p.m. I look forward to it. Am I crazy? I guess I am crazy.
No, I don't think you're crazy. We went grocery shopping earlier, and all the trees and shit were. All the trees are all yellow and brown and red, and it is nice. It is nice, but to be honest, the thing that I'm happy most about when it comes to fall and shit is the fact that I can hang out the laundry without getting bitten by 1,000 mosquitoes. That's really nice, I have to say. I was outside earlier hanging up the laundry, and it's like, oh, no mosquitoes. That's great. I'll take it. Small victories, right?
Small victories indeed. And I hear you have a new PM in the UK after like some, I don't know anything going on over there, but you got a new leader of the government.
Yeah, new leader, lettuce. The lettuce in chief is the new leader of Britain. In lettuce we trust, and I wish the lettuce all the best. And God, it's Britain is a mess. It is a mess. Let's not talk about that.
You know what else is a mess that comes from Britain, Jez? The one and only Competitions and Market Authority, the CMA.
Yes,
they're
CMA.
A bit of a mess. And they did a couple things. They did something this week that we're definitely going to be talking about a little bit later on. Because, yeah, I don't know. It seems they seem to be doing whatever they feel like doing. So we got a lot of great topics here to talk about, from new Silent Hill being announced. Unfortunately, exclusively not on Xbox. At least until sometime 12 months after it comes out. Resident Evil 4, me and Jez will be talking about Plague Tale Requiem and Persona 5 Royale, which I think I'll give you a hint. When Jez was playing it, he kind of told me that maybe it's one of the greatest games ever made. Is this true, Jez? Is Persona 5 Royale one of the greatest games of all time?
Well, you know me. I'd say every game's the greatest game ever made when I'm playing it. But I think it's very, very good. And a lot of people say Persona 4 is better. So if Persona 5 is as good as it is, Persona 5 Royale, I'm pretty excited for Persona 4 that's launching next year on Xbox, I think. Early next year, if I remember right. Because like I said before, I own Persona 4 and Persona 3 on PlayStation 2, which I've heard is worth a bit of money now. But unfortunately, my PlayStation 2 died before I could complete them. So for me, it's almost like going back to basics and going back to, being a younger man and trying these, coming back to this series that I wasn't able to play for however many years. But yeah, it's very good. I didn't do our review. That was my colleague who did our review. It's a very long game. The intro is about 10 hours long. And I am like about 30 hours in right now, and there's still new mechanics being introduced. So it's one of those kind of games, it just keeps going and going and going. But it's also really, really engrossing, really addictive. Like the way the game's sort of laid out. There's always something new. There's always something new and something interesting. So you're never bored. You're never bored while playing it. So I am loving Persona 5. and it's really great for cloud because it's turn-based. It's got a huge chunky UI, which is great for phones. So I'm pretty excited to see it come to Game Pass because I honestly wasn't 100% sure that it would a lot of
Yeah.
the time.
And
I knew it was fine, but yeah.
you got an upgrade in the microphone quality, so I'm kind of monitoring the chat to see if anybody's saying that Jez is a little bit lower volume than normal because, when you get new hardware, you never know. Jez sounds a little bit softer to me, so I'm kind of screwing around with his audio to make him louder or whatever. So, yeah, what'd you get? You get a Elgato XLR? Make
So
sound
I
better?
got an Elgato XLR and an Elgato Wave XD or DX. I think it's called the DX. Elgato DX. I'm actually reviewing it for Windows Central. So this is actually the first time I'm trying it out. So it's kind of work related microphone test right now. So yeah, in chat, let us know if it sounds okay.
Achievement says it's a tad lighter, which it is. It is a tad lighter.
You mean quieter? I can make it louder if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I told you it was quieter when we were.
Make it a little bit louder. Let's turn it off a bit. How's that? Is that any better?
Yeah, that's better.
Any better?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. We'll adjust accordingly. But yeah, Discord is compressing the audio, so you're not getting the true audio quality that it is like when I record with Audacity or something. We should probably look at maybe using something else to get better audio quality out of the podcast, but it is what it is. But yeah.
Elijah says, sounds like you got louder. I don't know. My settings for my microphone and the OBS have been the exact same for months, and I'm looking at it now and it's the exact same. So I don't know. Maybe your volume's a little bit louder. But either way, thank you guys so much for being here. We have a great show planned for you guys. I don't know how long it's going to be. Is it going to be an epic 4-hour podcast? Who knows how long these things normally go. But we'll try to do our best to entertain you and inform. So if you guys could do us a huge favor, make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. We're at 89.2 thousand subscribers. Only 800 away from 90,000, which is incredible. And then only 10 away from 100K. So that's the next journey. And then after that, I don't know. There's probably no more because I'll probably never get to 200,000. But yeah, we're almost there. So I want to thank you guys for that. And, so share this out on social media, all that good stuff. And, well, let's get into some of the housekeeping. This podcast is sponsored, Jez, once again, by the fine folks over at manscaped.com. And, I'm just going to read what Jez wrote. Jez wasn't feeling very creative until I helped him out on this one. So we got regulators got you by the balls? Getting cock blocked by your competitors? Blow the competition away with the smoothest balls, giving the confidence boost you need for your regulatory calls. Is your man tail hairier than a rat in plague's tail? Drop cash on the high-value, high-quality, high-performance package 4.0. Trimmers, razors, boxers, cologne, and much more. All 20% off with our code XB and the number 2 in the checkout, complete with free shipping. So thank you to the people over at Manscaped for continuing to sponsor the show. You can get everything you want over at manscaped.com, from the performance package to the wonderful boxers, which are incredible. I use them all the time. And you get 20% off with our code XB2 and the discount stuffs with free shipping. So yes, thank you once again to Manscaped for sponsoring the show, and thank you for everybody for listening to us try to come up with some amusing reads about it. The Plague Tale thing was mine. In fact, so was getting cockblocked by the competitors. In fact, I think most of it was mine too. Jez just put it down into words, so that's good. But outside of that, we do have. Yeah, well, no, I don't want to be a writer. You're the writer. We do have the Xbox 2 Patreon, which link is in the description below. We will be doing another exclusive Patreon podcast on Tuesday for Xbox Ultimate number 3, so look forward to that. And this week's Patreon producer for the show is none other than Xbox International. They go live every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Crazy Lui Gaming Channel. And their podcast welcomes every gamer, no matter your preferred platform or taste in gaming. They love gaming, so you're welcome to join the conversation with Crazy Lui, Silent Cypher, and Sourblow. And they've had myself on the show and a bunch of other industry guests. So if you want to learn more about Xbox International, the link to Crazy Lui's channel is in the description. And they go live Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. So thank you to our Patreon producer of the week, Xbox International. And well, Jez, this is your part. We do have some shout outs we got to get to before we move on to topics. So
yeah, shout out. So the Patreon pals who are helping support us and grow the channel, I can give all of those special people and lovely shout out now. New Patreon MVP, Macazilla. I wonder if that's Macca. It's probably not.
No, it's not. There's definitely not.
Thanks, man. Randall Thor 19.
You don't have to read my name out. Look, I'm even subscribed to our own Patreon, so that's how much.
What? I'm gonna read you out. You subscribe to the Patreon.
That is true. Give me a shout out on my own Patreon, on my own podcast. Yes.
Yeah. So shout out to Randall Thor 19, who's also a Patreon MPP. Silas, Eric Gregory, Elijah Vasquez, James Moore, Matt Salinas, Katriox, Ricky Felon, Nerdy Meathead, Bright 101, Jasper Sharp, Joseph Campbell, Discarded Beans and Toast. Oh, Discarded Beans and Toast is my pal. Xbox International, Justin Duell, Frank Marino, P. Bro King, Justin Miller, Asa T. and Madison, Untidy Tim, Grizzly Mofo G, Governor Grimm, DZ Hoffin, Justin Sego, Andrew Courtney, Wargaman, Achievement, The Scarecrow 121, Darren Torpy, Professor JJJ, Butterball 8, Ghostface Killer, Wolfgang KPZ, and Ralph Wiggum. So thanks to everyone for joining us on the Patreon.
Yes, thank you guys so very much for all the support. It's truly incredible and humbles me every day. So, so with the housekeeping out of the way, I'm going to start with something light here, Jez. Am I now Randall Weeb?
Yes.
Am I now officially a weeb? Is this possible? Is now anime my true calling? So, for anybody that doesn't know, I finished Vinland Saga on Netflix, which is also a manga, but I watched the anime, and it was incredible. It was way better than I thought. Because I have these preconceived notions of what anime is supposed to be, or anime things, and it's just like, eh. And I have a bunch of buddies, Magic, Gopher, Sam, who are all in on the whole anime thing, even though they like certain aspects. Like, two of them really like shonen anime, but one of them doesn't. One of them really likes the slice of life. I think one of them likes hentai. I don't know. I think I just probably made that up.
Which one likes hentai?
I don't know. I probably just made that up. But they've been trying to get me to watch stuff for a while, and I'm kind of like, nope, holding firm. I decided to watch this one, because my buddy Gopher recommended it. He's like, it's not really like the animes you think of. And I watched it, and it was great. It was fantastic. And I guess season 2 is coming soon. So I posted it on Twitter. Everybody was like, yeah, Rand, another one. You need to watch this. And like, there were so many like recommendations, from Naruto to like Full Metal Alchemist or something. Or Jez, you recommended something called Happy Star with some like 10-year-old girls. Lucky Star. Like, people were recommending like Chainsaw Man. I don't really know, but like Death Note and all this stuff.
I think you like Death Note,
but
it's pretty.
I decided to watch Cyberpunk Edge Runners because it looked really cool, and it was freaking incredible. I watched like all 10 episodes in 2 days, and I posted about it, and man, what a show. I don't want to give any spoilers, but it definitely made me want to go back and play for the first time Cyberpunk, because I didn't play it at launch, even though I had it. All the issues, I thought, you know what, I'll wait for patches, I'll wait for things to improve, wait for DLC. Now everybody's like, oh man, Cyberpunk's finally the game it was. Even if you talked to Jez last year, he gave it a 5 out of 5. Jez's game of the year or 2020 because it came out a couple years ago.
Stand by that every day.
So now everybody's like, man, you're just an anime nerd now. So you start calling yourself Randall Weeb. And I don't know if that's true. But
I think it is true. I think you are now a weeb.
I don't know about that.
It's how it starts, man. You watch one anime and then it's like, oh, that was quite good. I need to watch some more. And you start watching more anime, and before you know it, you've got a hug pillow. You've got little anime figures. It's a slippery slope, man. Believe me.
I guess so. I guess it is a slippery slope.
Slippery slope.
So, yeah, I got a whole bunch of recommendations, but, there's still a whole bunch of other shows I need to catch up on. I need to watch all of House of Dragon, because I don't know if he's here, but he might be. Paris, if you're listening, I don't watch stuff week to week, and I binge, so now House of Dragon is finally ending, so I can watch it all. But Netflix saved me. Netflix made the right move and said they have no intention of moving to the weekly release schedule. So now I was like, you know what? Make sure you check up on Paris. Because he's probably just in a horrible mood because he wants to watch shows week to week. Which is ridiculous. I don't know why anybody would ever want to do that. I don't know why anybody would ever want to do that week to week.
We're busy people, okay? We're busy people.
You watch one episode of a show and then you lose interest.
Oh, actually, I watched the whole show this week.
No, you didn't.
I did. I was forced to, but it was quite good. I watched it with my girlfriend. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called The Watcher. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it. Yes.
It's for those who don't know, it's sort of like a thriller. I believe it's based on a book or something. The Watcher. It's about some people that buy a house. And it basically turns into a nightmare with neighbors from hell, and it's kind of like a whodunit kind of thing.
Whodunit, okay.
Yeah. It was quite good, quite creepy in times. It was quite interesting. I quite enjoyed it. So yeah, I did watch a show. That's the first show I've watched in its entirety for a long time. 7 episodes. So yeah, I had some form of attention span for that one. So yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to Paris for being wrong about weekly releases. Binging's the best. Netflix, the market leader. They surprised everybody by actually increasing in subscribers this past quarter. So keep on doing what you're doing, Netflix. You're the leader for a reason. Even though people like Paris want you to go to weekly for no reason whatsoever. So, but anyways. Let's get to some of these super chats and channel memberships. We got one from Flame, who's been a member for 17 months, says, did you all see the Series S running better than the Series X and PS5 for Gotham Knights? That one Rocksteady dev should be rolling in his Twitter grave. Yeah, that's one of the big topics for this episode. Is the Xbox Series S holding the gen back? It should be an interesting discussion. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. But I did see... I think it was a Rocksteady, like an artist. It wasn't actually like a developer. It was like an artist. So, but yeah. One Tick Hole says, Jez, please tell me you're going to lead the lettuce party. At the very least, you can promise it will last longer than the previous PM.
Man, I actually often think, should I just get into politics and fix the country?
Maybe you should.
Then I think, actually, I'm just too lazy.
Maybe you should. Can you fix the country? I mean, couldn't be worse than the ones doing it right now, right?
Yeah, it could not be worse. I literally have no idea how it could possibly be worse in the UK right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently we might even get good old Boris back.
Oh my God.
That's the rumor right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they just got no one else. No one wants the job. So yeah, it's all fun and games and a little bit depressing.
We got JFX88 in the super chat saying, if PlayStation blocks COD from being on Xbox Game Pass, I would just put it in Games of Gold out of spite. Well, Games of Gold would actually be good for a change.
Yeah,
something tells me Activision Blizzard would probably not like the idea of putting Call of Duty in Xbox Games of Gold, but I like where your head's at, and we'll definitely be talking about that later, because Jez wrote an article that was shared widely and discussed everywhere about how Sony may regret getting involved. Because you never know, petty Microsoft might rear their ugly head. Phil Spencer, Satya gang, They be out there. Oh, we can't own Activision Blizzard? Okay, how about some petty money hats, some petty timed exclusives? At least that's what Jez was saying. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Deafside says, Jezcast, let's go. You should ask the people, since we have a whole bunch of people here. You're talking about like renaming your YouTube channel, and you're talking about what was the name you were thinking of? The Jez Box, I think it was, right?
Yeah, Jez Box for YouTube channel. But I honestly don't know if I'm going to do that. I might just focus more on Windows Central Gaming, even though I don't get any of the money from that. I don't know what I'll do. I don't know. We'll figure something out together.
Yes. New Soul 9, thank you for the super chat. He says, hey Rand, honest question. Why are you comparing Nintendo to Xbox and PlayStation? If we all know Nintendo is not part of the console market and most of the handheld market, so your claims are just ingenuine. My claims are disingenuine.
I don't even know a response to that. It's not a console. Seriously?
Nintendo competes with Xbox and PlayStation, regardless of whether it's a handheld, but it's also a handheld you can plug into your TV.
It's a console.
I don't know. Anything that competes, like the CMA's argument is that Nintendo isn't really part of the same market, or at least is family friendly, even though Nintendo's the one with like all the most adult games. And I don't know if you've noticed, but everybody that plays Pokemon is basically in their like 30s. I think it's just an easy way to categorize Nintendo as just saying family friendly. But all the big YouTubers that I know that cover Nintendo stuff are all in their 30s or 40s. People grew up with Nintendo. Nintendo has their demographic is all over the place. So yes, they compete with Xbox and PlayStation, because if a game comes out on those platforms and you buy it on Nintendo, you're not going to buy it on Xbox or PlayStation. And if you're spending time on Nintendo, you're not spending time on Xbox or PlayStation. And I mean, I think the Brazil regulators, were right on the money, saying that like, if Call of Duty is so important, how can Nintendo Switch be doing so well? Which means it's not that important, which it isn't. It's not that important. But the CMA is like, oh, it's just a bunch of kiddos, playing on the Nintendo Switch, which I think is a oversimplification. But when you actually look at like all the CMA's arguments, it's all just a bunch of nonsense anyways. It's all just, it's like they didn't even really do any deep research, and it was all just, we're gonna listen to third party people, mainly PlayStation. I mean, even Microsoft pointed out in their response that Sony PlayStation was mentioned 55 times, and the consumers were only mentioned like 5 times. So you can see where they were angling. And I think the idea that, Nintendo doesn't compete is ridiculous. So.
Yeah. The Nintendo Switch is a console. You can plug it into your TV. You can use a Pro controller with it. Just because it has a handheld mode does not mean it's not a console. Like, by that logic, my phone is like, by that logic, Xbox is not a console because I can use it with remote play and use it with the cloud and turn my phone into a handheld. So, that's just a dumb sort of twisting of logic to sort of, I don't know, keep a narrative going. So I don't know what the intent is there, other than to obfuscate reality. But that's par for the course with the discourse lately.
Yeah. And we have a super chat here from Special Nick, co-host of Xbox Era, who doesn't play any Xbox games. All he plays is PlayStation games and Nintendo games. My buddy, the one and only Special Nick.
Hi,
he says, how about some love for Jez's mate Nick? Modern Warfare 2 is amazing so far. Yeah, I played a little bit of Modern Warfare 2, playing it on Veteran. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, so do you have anything nice to say about Nick, Jez? He says he wants some love, and he's your mate. He's your mate.
What can I say about Nick? Nick is my Commonwealth buddy, so we're both in the Commonwealth. So yeah, that's the nice thing I'd say about Nick.
And New Soul 9 says, for the people that say Nintendo is part of the console market, they are not. For most consumers, the Switch is a secondary accessory, not the primary console. Not the primary like consoles are. Laugh. Okay. I mean, that's just like your opinion, man. You know, everybody's got one and they all stink. Isn't that what the saying is? And I think yours is smelling up the room. God damn. I can smell it from all the way over here. Wash your ass. My God. Anyways, thank you for the super chats. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Kaloki514 says, there are some anime stories better than anything on Netflix. I recommend the classics such as Ninja Scroll, Basculus, or some Samurai Champloo. Well, my buddy Loveboat Gopher, who is my go-to for anime recommendations, says not to watch. He said, don't listen to anybody who's giving recommendations. Only come to him. And he's recommended me a couple. So he says to basically, don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to anybody in the comments section or on Twitter. So we'll see. I got a lot of stuff I need to watch. I got a lot of games I need to play. I got a lot of books I need to read. My time is limited. Especially, now that I'm going to make some videos, trying to at least make one a week. I made 2 this week. That takes up some time. Doing the podcast takes up some time, Wish there was just more time in the day to do stuff. Achievement. Been a member for 14 months. Says, couldn't Microsoft let the ABK stock tank if it gets blocked, then buy 51% and get the same results, saving around $40 billion? Is that possible? Wouldn't them buying 51%? Well, I mean, so you're saying the company would still be private? They would just buy the majority share of it? But then at that point, why even bother buying 51% and just make a deal with Activision Blizzard to make the games timed exclusive? You save even more money.
You'd have to ask Tencent that. Why did Tencent buy half of Epic Games?
Well, they don't have half of Epic Games, do they?
They got 49%.
Do they have 49%? Because PlayStation also has some too, and some other companies. I don't think they have exactly 49%. I think they have the largest percentage after Tim Sweeney, and Tim Sweeney's still the majority.
They got a lot though, I believe.
They do have a lot. Flame says, Rand, watch Narugami, Your Name, and Wolf Children. I see there's a lot of these things I haven't even heard of. So,
dude, anime is like, you shouldn't think of anime as a genre. It's a medium, There's like, horror anime, just like anything, sci-fi anime, all that kind of stuff. You should watch everything by Satoshi Kon first. Like seriously, like not kidding around. Satoshi Kon is probably the best mature anime director. Everything he made is amazing. And it's really sad that he passed away a few years ago. But Paranoia Agent, and a lot of his movies were ripped off by Western directors, especially Darren Aronofsky. So if you like movies like Requiem for a Dream or The Black Swan or Inception, they were ripped off from Satoshi Kon movies, anime movies.
I don't even know who that is. Don't even know.
Yeah, he got ripped off a lot by the Western directors. So yeah, Paranoia Agent, amazing anime. You love it, honestly. And Paprika is basically what they based Inception on. Perfect Blue is what they based Black Swan and Requiem for a Dream on. So yeah, he ripped off Perfect Blue twice. It's amazing. Yeah, Darren Aronofsky. He must have loved that movie. But anyway, slightly off topic.
I always screw his name up. Anamanapio. I was always wondering when we were going to super chat about my singing abilities, because they are legendary. Just ask Dealer Gaming, or especially Colt Eastwood. Rand, how's your Christopher Cross impression? Could you actually sing a few bars of Sailing Away? Could you, Jez? Could you sing a few bars of Sailing Away?
Isn't that a South Park song?
Well, I mean, it's not a South Park song. It's just that Trey Parker, sang the song in Eric Cartman's voice, and it was hysterical. That's the only version I know. It's by Stick, and yes, we've all heard it. but
All right.
you don't want me to sing, okay? You definitely do not want me to sing. I cannot sing on key. I sound horrible, and I'm not going to subject the listeners of Xbox 2, especially the audio listeners who are listening to this later on iTunes and Spotify. But by the way, quick aside, did you see how high we're getting in the iTunes rankings?
Yeah, aren't we? We're pretty close to overtaking.
We
Major
did
now?
overtake the major. We overtook.
did?
We did. Like I looked earlier,
Oh,
and like we
snap.
got up to like 25. We put major in our rearview mirror. The only Xbox, at least according to iTunes charts, the only Xbox podcast that is bigger. Well, at least at that point in time, was Kind of Funny Xcast. Which shout out to them, Paris. My guy, Snowbike Mike. I love Snowbike Mike. He always brings a smile to my face. If I'm having a bad day, I can just tune in and hit one of his streams, or when he hosts Kind of Funny, which, by the way, they opened up their spare bedroom. I don't know if you saw their new studio.
Spare bedroom, yeah. That's pretty cool.
And,
really cool name, too. Clever name.
Snowbike Mike is amazing. And he drops by the channel. He's a channel member. I can't wait to meet him in real life because, I'm starting to get to the point now, Jazz, where maybe I'm going to go to E3 this next year. If Xbox is going to put on a fan fest with the show, I might actually show up. I want to meet everybody. I want to meet Colt and, Cognito. And, if I do go and you go, we could have an Xbox 2 meetup where we can meet all the people here, even the trolls, the ones that are talking about Nintendo is not part of the market. Yeah, you can even show up too if you wanted to. I suppose we don't discriminate. We love everybody. So, So shout out to Snowbike Mike, Paris, and Gary Whitta for the for Kind of Funny Xcast. But yeah, I was shocked because somebody messaged me and be like, "Man, you're pretty high up on the iTunes list," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess we are." So thank you guys who are listening over on iTunes and Spotify and all the podcast apps. You do us a huge favor. The YouTube crowd, they got to like, they got to comment, they got to subscribe to the channel. You guys can just listen. So if you feel, the goodness within you, if you want to help out the show, 5-star review, leaving, a written comment always helps. We would appreciate it greatly. But could I actually sing a few bars of Sailing Away? I could. It would sound like ass. It would sound horrible. Your ears would bleed. So we're not going to do that.
I'll sing it on the Xbox 2 Ultimate where there's fewer people.
Yeah, you know what? I could. If somebody really asks on the Xbox 2 Ultimate, I probably will bust out a few bars. Because nobody's ever going to hear it, because it'd just be a few people that hear it. So
yeah, keep it on the down low. Yeah. Exclusive Patreon content. Rand singing Sail Away. I'll sing it in Eric Cartman's voice, man.
Yeah. We got one here from Aramic LVT saying article came out saying Phil and the Microsoft lawyer who helped get the ARM deal blocked are heading to the UK to talk to the CMA, which I find fascinating. Yeah, what did you read on that, Jez?
They're pretty serious about it.
Of course, I mean, $70 billion serious, you think?
$70 billion serious, but it's, I don't know. It's the lawyer that got the ARM deal blocked. Did they work? Who is that exactly? They worked with Microsoft or what?
Well, I mean, the super chat says from Aramic says that an article came out today saying that Phil and the Microsoft lawyer who helped get the ARM deal blocked. I don't know.
That's really interesting. Well, it's, the ARM deal was kind of messed up, but didn't they ultimately say it was a matter of national security why they blocked it? They didn't want to, because ARM is one of Britain's most important companies. Yeah, at the same time, ARM makes no money. So it's kind of they're in a weird situation. I feel bad for ARM, but whatever. But it's also they're super important because every low power chip on the planet for mobile devices uses ARM technology. But I think it's encouraging that they're bringing out the big guns, I guess, because we all want to see the deal go through. Because at the end of the day, That's how we get StarCraft back, and that's all that matters.
Mm, yes. Well, for you, it all that matters. Bando Fox says, I'm still waiting on that Fable news. I mean, everybody's waiting on Fable news. I don't know when we'll see it. I believe Matt Booty recently said at PAX West, I want to say, that Playground Games is like, nope, you can't show this game until we're ready to show it. So who knows when they'll be actually ready to show it. Unfortunately, maybe next year, maybe the year after that. I don't know. Is it a 24 title? Jeff Grubb's thing from a couple years ago had it listed as a 2023 release, which I never believed. There's no way. I think at earliest it's a 2024 title. In my mind, it's probably more 2025. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. And
for those guys, they're probably really like, okay, this is our first non-racing game. We really need to show up here and blow everyone away and really, show that with the right people to bring this franchise back to life. Because, Fable's pretty much dormant. That reminds me. I actually found out some information about Fable Legends recently. This is off topic, but I'm going to bring it up anyway.
Okay.
Do you know who it was who wanted Fable Legends to be a service game?
Who?
Do you know who it was?
Was it Peter Molyneux?
It was Phil Harrison.
Oh, of course. Of course. Why? Of course it was Phil.
Of course it was Phil Harrison. So, of course, people who don't know, Phil Harrison is our friend who presided over Stadia.
But not just Stadia. He's the architect. One of the architects of the PS3 generation, which almost destroyed Sony. He was also involved in the Xbox One generation. That really is still impacting Microsoft even now, like 9 years later. And, he's Jim Ryan's dragging the corpse of Phil Harrison around to the CMA to talk about, Stadia and how big bad Microsoft, look what happens. Even Google can't compete. If Google can't compete, how is anybody else supposed to? So
yeah, Google.
Google. Phil Harrison, great guy. Basically, is always failing upwards. Somehow, consistently gets positions, even though his track record is abysmal at best. You would think, like how badly with the PS3 bombed, that he wouldn't get another job, but then he did it with the Xbox One, and then you think like, oh man, look at the Xbox One, how badly that screwed that brand. We're definitely never going to hire him for anything. And then Google did. It's like, what are you doing? Did you not see what he's doing? Yeah.
He's bad mojo.
The K. Asante says Phil's the gaming Grim Reaper.
Yeah. Oh well, he's the very definition of failing upwards. I'm really intrigued to see what company he shows it next.
Right.
I want to see him get a win. Get a win. Please get a win.
He was at PlayStation. He's at Xbox. He was at Google. I mean, he's got to go to Nintendo next, right?
Yeah, true.
Be at Nintendo for the Switch too.
Get the trifecta.
Yeah. Rand Jez says check the Discord VIP chat. I don't know. He might have dropped the article about Phil and the lawyer or whatever. And DJ Oro says these two beautiful people, legends. Thank you. For the super chat. It means a lot. I am not beautiful or a legend, but I appreciate you thinking of me as so. But Jez is a beautiful soul. I mean, have you seen him when he's on camera with that beard? He's beautiful man. Right?
My beard needs a trim right now. One thing I really want Manscaped to do is start making beard products. It just kind of makes sense, right? And a little birdie told me that maybe that's in Manscaped's future.
That's on the docket, huh?
That's on the docket, yeah, for Manscaped beard stuff. So yeah, that might be interesting.
So, thank you guys for being here so much. Make sure you hit the like button if you're enjoying the show. And I'm gonna talk. So I'm gonna talk about what we've been playing, because there's been a game I've been playing for like 2 weeks now that I haven't been able to talk about. So I can finally talk about it. But first, I'm going to talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, because I was able to play about 6 levels last night, playing it on Veteran, as I normally do, although I think maybe the one before Vanguard, Black Ops Cold War, didn't play on Veteran. I've normally always beaten the games on Veteran, because they're not that difficult. But man, Modern Warfare 2, Jez, are you playing campaign early access right now?
I'm not. I'm not
No?
playing campaign early access. I'm not. I don't ever play Call of Duty campaigns because
Gee.
I generally think they're lame. The last one I played was Call of Duty 4 campaign, the original, not the remake. That was cool, but I don't know. They're super linear, and I don't know. I'm not a big fan. But I'm waiting for the multiplayer. I think I'm gonna check out the multiplayer because I discovered something this week, Rand.
What'd you discover?
Well, the last few years, I've been playing Overwatch and other shooters, and I've been thinking, like, man, I really suck at Overwatch. And I've been thinking, like, man, I feel like I'm getting old. Every time I get killed, I see these kill cams, and these people have, like, really great aim, and they always land their headshots. And I'm like, man, they're so good at the game. How do they do this? I discovered that I had aim assist turned off. Since 2016, apparently.
Why?
I don't know. So I've been playing Overwatch for the last few years with no aim assist at all. Zero aim assist. And because like Overwatch 2 is basically Overwatch 1, all the settings carried over. So I still had no aim assist in Overwatch 2. And it's supposed to be on by default. And I think like what I used to turn off aim assist while playing Battlefield. Because I used to play with a tripod and an LMG. And you don't really need aim assist when you're playing with a tripod and an LMG in Battlefield. And for some reason, I just carried that habit of not using aim assist into other games. So I checked Call of Duty, lo and behold, I turned off aim assist. Check the settings in Overwatch, lo and behold, I turned off aim assist. I've turned it on now, and I'm like a god. I am like a god in Overwatch now. So I've been playing all this time with that aim assist on, and now I'm like, oh crap. I can land almost every headshot. So, yeah, turns out I am getting old, but aim assist helps offset the oldness.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I am old. 41. I'm going to be 42 next year.
41?
Yeah, 41, unfortunately. You're 52, right?
Hang on. I feel like it was only yesterday that we were celebrating your 40th.
Yeah, last year.
God, man, where's the time going? I've just spilled rum all over the table.
Oh, Jez is drinking. Hit that like button for drunk Jez. You know what that usually means.
Yeah, we're only having a little bit. I'm not getting smashed like last time. That was I drank a lot of rum last show, but we're not getting told.
This Modern Warfare 2 is definitely, how do I say this? I'm enjoying it. But it definitely seems a little bit more tactical, a little bit more way more linear than the Call of Duties even used to be. It's like, you know the level in Modern Warfare 2019 where you stormed the house, right? You had the I think it was called Clean Sweep or Clean House or something. And you would go up the stairs and you kind of went into each room and you had to like clear it from the terrorists or whatever. And people really liked that level. Maybe it was the best level in that game, and people really liked the campaign of Modern Warfare 2019. And I saw a lot of praise for, like, oh man, that was really cool. It was really realistic, right? It's like they took the feedback on that about the clearing rooms, and at least for the first 6 missions right now, like that's essentially what the game is. Like almost every single level has you clearing rooms in some way where you're like moving slowly down the hall and like some terrorist pops out of the door, right? And playing on Veteran, you basically get shot once you're dead in those scenarios. So it's definitely more tactical. I mean, the game looks freaking incredible. I'm sure people have seen the screenshots. Like, it's definitely a phenomenal looking game.
And it's really performant on the Series X.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm playing in 120 frames. But, like, it definitely seems a little bit more focused and tactical in that sense. I don't know how the rest of the levels play because I guess like there's a ton of levels because these levels are short. Like I only really played for like an hour or two and I was on like the 7th level. I was just like, okay, that's fast because you got the cutscene and then the level plays out and the level's not very long and it's like, all right, next thing. So Very, I guess they're maybe going for really a cinematic quality of the storylines bouncing from characters to characters. But that's just something I noticed was like they really took the feedback of how people like clean house, clearing the rooms, and essentially the beginning of the game is almost in that, right? I haven't gotten to the level where it's basically a recreation of all gillied up yet, so I've only able to play for like an hour and a half last night. I've liked what I played, but it's just I don't know. It's just weird because Call of Duty is typically not like that. At least the older ones. Maybe this is like the new area they're gonna go in, kind of like more linear focused, like with incredible looking graphics and faster pacing. I don't know. Either way, I'll probably finish the game and talk about it more next week because the game I really want to talk about, the game that I've been playing for a while, is A Plague Tale Requiem, which also started off the discussion about next-gen games and 30 frames per second and Series S holding everything back and is a potato and is an albatross around, the gaming gen, and we'll talk about that. It's its own topic and stuff. So, Plague Tale Requiem, I loved it. I'm not going to say I loved every single second of it because clearly not every game is perfect. But I did love this one. I thought it was a great improvement over the first game. But I will say, if you're somebody that didn't like the first game very much, I'm not sure there's anything here that is going to change your mind. Because what this game is more just kind of an evolution of a sequel, right? They do the same thing, so you still have the rats that are kind of puzzle. You got to puzzle out, like, okay, how do I get past these rats because they can instantly kill you. But the aspect I liked in the first,
escaped.
in this one, yeah, is I love stealth games. They're one of my favorite genres to play, and we never get them anymore. So half of this game is half of this game is essentially stealth, and you can play different ways you want. You can play it completely just bypassing everybody, which is normally what I do. You can play it aggressively because they did give you that option where you can kill people. You can use your crossbow or what have you, right? You can play more aggressively than you were able to before, or you can use alchemy to kind of kill people with fire or tar, or put out someone's light so the rats kill them. So there are many different play styles. I typically go for the stealth one because I like feeling like a ghost where I'm playing through something and I can get through an area and get to the end and nobody knows I was even there. I don't know. I really enjoy that feeling because it almost seems to me when you're playing that way, like you view each encounter as a puzzle to solve, right? So the gameplay is mostly structured around the same. I think it's, you use your sling. You have different like abilities with the sling. Throw a rock or a rock that's on fire or tar and stuff. So it's more improved. And I mean, the first thing you gotta talk about, like, not the first thing, but like this game looks incredible. I went back and I compared Plague Tale Requiem, or Plague Tale Innocence, which was a 2019 release, so it's not that old. But when you look at them side by side, the jump in fidelity and resolution, it just makes Plague Tale Requiem really look next gen. It's one of the best looking games of this entire generation so far.
I think we're getting to the point now where games are sort of native to next gen because it does seem that way. Looking at Plague Tale, it's like, man, that feels particularly gorgeous, and like also Modern Warfare 2, like some of the screenshots I've seen of that. And also, one of my colleagues went and played Resident Evil 4 Remake this past week in London, and he said the visuals are mind-blowing as well. So, are we getting there now?
I mean, I think we're starting to get there, right? A lot of the games that have come out recent couple years are probably all started on older, hardware. But yeah, Plague Tale's like one of the first next-gen games, one of them, and I know there's been others, but like one of them. And it definitely looks like it, even though it only is in 1440p. And yes, it's 30 frames on the Series X and PS5. If you don't have a TV with 120 hertz mode with VRR, then it's 40 frames. So yes, there has been that discussion of like, wait a minute, I thought this whole generation was going to be 60 frames because everything was essentially all 60 frames. And then all of a sudden you got 2 games here that are essentially 30. So now that's kind of been brought back up being like, wait a minute, are developers going to go back to 30 frames because they want to be able to push how the visuals, the physics, the particle effects, and to present like the best looking image you can possibly have versus offering, frame rate and stuff. And we'll talk about that as we talk about the Series S, because I want to give Plague's Tale Requiem its roses, because I truly love this game. Like, I'd probably give it a 9. There's some things that hold it back. The animations, they're better, but they're not great. You still have those scenarios where they force you to walk really slow, which I'm sure you hate, and I know some of my friends hate, where like you really slow, and you got the people talking and stuff, and that doesn't bother me. But I'm also on my second playthrough. I'm on New Game Plus because I was trying to get a few achievements, and like then it bothers me because I'm like, all right, I've already heard all this stuff. Let me. So that could bother some people, and it is a lot longer than the first game. This game is 17 chapters. And I think I finished it in 18 hours. It might take some people longer or shorter depending on the difficulty and how many retries they have to do. Because, some of the movement can be a little bit janky, especially when you're guiding a couple people. I've died because of said movement. Well, I ended up in the rats and they killed me. So that stuff's still an issue. So the length might be a problem. But, the story it tells is... I was hooked from the first second. Even though it's similar to the story in the first game, it's like, we have Hugo, who's got the superpower of rats. And like in the first game, it's like, okay, we're kind of like looking for a cure, but people want to either use Hugo or kill him. This game's like, well, Hugo's kind of struggling with the rats, and we need to find a cure, and these people might know it, but then people want to kill him. So it's similar story. But I think Asobo really stepped up their game here. They're more confident in their storytelling, and like the voice acting is great. I think everybody did a standout job, and the music is absolutely incredible. Whoever was the composer, man, music is fire. Every time I load up that game, I sit at that like main menu and I listen to that like main theme until like it swells and ends, because it is fantastic. Love Plague's Tale Requiem. It's on Game Pass, on PC and console. For those of you that, don't want to spend the extra money, that don't want to buy it, you're not really too, don't know if you're going to enjoy it, but I love it. But I can see why, if you're not into stealth, maybe you don't. If you don't like strictly a, third-person cinematic stealth action adventure, this isn't for you. It's probably not for you. It is long, so if you're looking for something shorter, that would kind of, you wouldn't like that. But I don't know what else I can say. Like, it's my second favorite game I played this year, only behind Elden Ring, and I loved Elden Ring.
Elden Ring feels like so long ago now.
It does, and that's why, people saying Elden Ring is a shoo-in to win Game of the Year, I think might be up for Rude Awakening, because I don't know if you guys have seen, but like God of War Ragnarok previews came out today, and I think God of War Ragnarok is going to be just as good, if not better, than the first, and that's going to be right in people's minds, recency bias. So don't discount God of War Ragnarok beating Elden Ring.
I still think Elden Ring's
maybe
gonna win.
Thaneros says, do you need to play the first game? To get all out of it, you probably do. This is like a direct sequel. So, if you were to play it without playing the first, I would just look for a story recap of what happened in the first game, because this is a sequel. Although I think you can just jump in and just play it from here. You might not have the connections to Amicia or Hugo like you would if you played the first game, but I still think you could have a good time. And they ended up they talked about having like 350,000 rats. And this game definitely does seem inspired by like Naughty Dog. There's definitely some like Naughty Dog flares and touches here for some of the segments. But I pretty much have just praised this game to death. I love it. It's my second favorite game of the year. I couldn't stop playing it. All I was thinking about was I want to go back and play some more Plague's Tale. I mean, I even as soon as I finished, I started up New Game Plus to kind of run through it again. And I actually kind of wanted to show it off this week, but Persona 5 won the Patreon poll. So you guys get to see Persona 5 instead of Plague's Tale. So maybe Plague Tale will win next week because I'm sure the poll will be Plague Tale or, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 or whatever. So
Yeah, if any of us get access to it.
well, I'm playing Modern Warfare 2 right now.
All right. Well,
I
we can
bought it.
do that, yeah.
I bought
I'll
it.
do that next week.
I bought it. So that's my take on Plague's Tale. Do you want to expand a little bit more on your take about Persona 5 Royale a little bit? I know you talked about it before, but anything more you want to say?
I think Persona 5, like, it won't be for everyone. Like, it's quite a slog sometimes. Like, if you're not used to those kind of games, there's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of visual novel elements to it. And there is like long periods where you don't find any combat whatsoever. But it's just, if you do like those kind of games, like the gameplay loop is so sort of addictive, and it sort of drip feeds you new mechanics, new upgrades, and new characters, and I love it. But I like those kind of games, right? So I'm getting my JRPG fix with this game in a world where turn-based Final Fantasy no longer exists. Because that's what I grew up on. I grew up on turn-based Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 6 through 10 was my jam. I never thought I'd be sitting here saying like Final Fantasy games are no longer turn-based, but it is what it is.
It is.
But Persona's bringing that fire, and also Yakuza, surprisingly. But there's a lot more sort of strategy and tactical gameplay involved in Persona than I expected, and it's stylish as hell. It's so stylish when you're in combat, and the monster designs are absolutely nuts, literally nuts sometimes, like actually balls sometimes. So Persona's a special kind of game, and it's also perfect for cloud, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
here's a better question. You love it, right? The reviews are all glowing in praise. But would you recommend it to someone like me, Randall Weeb, Randall Thor 19? Would Persona 5 be a game I would enjoy? I have downloaded it through Game Pass. I've heard it's like 100 hours to play through, but that's the question. It's like I've never played one, so it's like. So it's like, is this for someone like who's like me? Because I don't. Maybe there's a lot of people like me. I don't know. Would I get swept up into Persona 5 Royale? Is it a game I should play?
You kind of have to sort of take it like almost like a novel, I think, because there's a lot of reading. There's if you enjoyed like
I do like reading.
Yeah, there's a lot of sections where it's sort of like learning about the characters, and like social bonds are an important aspect of the game, which is sort of like doing side quests with different characters and stuff like that. Because if you don't do some of the side quests, you can't access the royal content, because the Persona 5 Royale or Royal, sorry, has like extra content, but only if you actually complete certain social events, So it's a lot of that stuff you have to be interested in. You have to be invested in the characters. And if you do get invested in the characters, then yeah, you'll love it. But if you don't, then you probably won't. So it's hard to say, it's not for everyone. Like totally get that. But for people that it is for, it's the cream of the crop, the best of the best. And I'm a big fan. So other than that, all I've been playing is Overwatch 2 religiously.
Yeah, no, considering how much you said you didn't like Overwatch 2 when you were playing in beta, but that's all you're actually going to play now. Just goes to show you that don't listen to gamers. They don't know what they want and what they like. So
yeah, it's true. But part of that is honestly, I was sort of playing it out of habit until I turned aim assist on. Now I'm loving it.
Now you're loving it. Okay.
I can't believe I've been playing without aim assist all this time. Like, I literally just thought I was old.
Well, you are.
I was thinking like, Yeah, I am old, but I thought like I was so old that I couldn't aim anymore. But like everyone had aim assist turned on, and I didn't because it is turned on by default. So like literally everyone was using aim assist, and I wasn't. So every time I saw someone absolutely with crazy aim in the kill cam, it was just because I didn't have aim assist turned on, like a moron. That's just yeah. Because now I'm just wrecking people. I'm playing Ash, who's like a sort of sniper, and I'm just absolutely wrecking everyone. I
Yeah.
posted play the games on Twitter constantly. I'm just destroying everyone because I've been playing without aim assist, and now I've got it on. You know, fear me, bitches. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's turned off by default though when crossplay triggers, which not a lot of people are very happy with. Because obviously, if you end up in a game with a PC player, the aim assist turns off. So then you any advantage you might have had, you just lose. But I don't know. It's I just love it. I actually like now that I've turned aim assist on, I kind of get what they were going for with the 5v5. Although it's still not perfect. There's still a lot of problems with it. The skins are ridiculously expensive, pretty much like Halo Infinite. The battle pass is not the best. The progression's not the best. It's balance is all screwed up. There's a lot of issues with it, and there's bugs. They should have called it early access, but there's no better shooter for me. There's just no better shooter for me personally. So, but I'm a TF2 kid, man. I'm a TF2 kid. So
You are a TF2 kid, but yeah. So next week we'll talk more about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I'll have that finished, and I don't know what else is like. Maybe Gotham Knights. I don't know. I still want to play it.
I ain't
but
touching that. It looks terrible.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Did you finish Scorn, by the way?
I did not.
Of course you didn't. Here's the thing. Here's the thing you need to know about Jez Corden. Jez Corden don't finish games.
I do finish games if they're actually no, I don't finish games.
I
finish games if I'm reviewing them.
I distinctly asked you last week, hey, you're liking Scorn, which you were. You think you played a couple hours and you were liking it. I'm like, are you gonna finish Scorn? You have a week, and you were like, absolutely, mate. No problem, mate. Doing your typical mate stuff. Yeah,
why am I sound Australian?
I don't know.
Why am I Australian though?
And sure enough, Jez did not finish Scorn because he just plays Overwatch 2 all the time. So yes.
Oh well, it's not my fault, man. I seriously I open my Xbox and like on the quick resume list, there's like Scorn and there's Xbox Xbox, there's Scorn and there's Persona and there's Overwatch, and I was just like, man, I just can't stop playing Overwatch.
Yeah.
There's just something about it, man. Getting those headshots, seeing that little red cross pop up, it's
pretty good.
It's exquisite.
We're going to move on. So if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you hit the like button. We have a comment here from, a channel member, Adam F., who's been a member for 13 months. Says, should people actually send an email to the CMA? Xbox gamers might actually have a level input. Just join. Sorry if you talked about this already. We haven't talked about it yet, but we're going to talk about it now after I get through these super chats because that is one of my topics. So we're going to jump into that in just a second. So think of your response, Jez. Jacqueline Branch, who actually joined us live during the Xbox 2 Ultimate show as part of the Patreon perk of joining the call. He says, hey, Jezel and friend, do you see Hogue made a video going over your article, Jez? He was nice about it and called it well written.
Oh, bless him. Very kind.
We'll talk about Jez's article because I might feel a different way. So we'll talk about that too. Thank you, Jacqueline.
It's okay to be wrong.
I'm usually right though. New Soul 9 says, Rand, that's not my opinion. This is straight from data. You can look it up for yourself. How many people get a Switch is primary. Majority of most people buy a Switch after they buy a console first because they know they won't get third party.
The thing is, right, with this argument is of Switch doesn't compete with X and Y doesn't compete with Z. It's irrelevant because at the end of the day, you've only got two pairs of hands. You can only play one game at the same time. So in reality, mobile competes with console. PC competes with console. Console competes with handheld because you've only got two pairs of hands. You can only play one game at once unless you've got like four hands which nobody has, to my knowledge, unless you're Goro from Mortal Kombat, right? So it's kind of like, to say they don't compete is just asinine. It's just ridiculous. And to say there's no crossover is ridiculous. It's just stupid to say there's no crossover between Switch, between mobile, between Xbox, and between PC. Of course there's crossover. There's more crossover than ever. You know, I see a game like Persona 5 comes out. I'm actively making a choice as a consumer. Do I buy it on Xbox? Do I buy it on Switch? Do I buy it on PlayStation? Actively making a choice. And Smokey, I did say 2 pairs of hands, but in my defense, I'm drunk. So,
Already?
But, well, I drank like
bro, we still got 3 more hours of podcasting to go. What do you mean?
I'm trying to go slow, man, but it's so nice, man. It's so good.
You know, I think you probably would get more kills in Overwatch if you weren't drunk.
Nah, because Rand, you don't drink, right? So
No,
you
I
don't
don't.
understand this. You don't drink, so you don't understand. But there is a point with drinking. There's like I don't know what you call it. There's like a singularity. There's a singularity where you drink enough that it actually makes you better at shooters.
It's made up.
Actually makes you better.
That's made up by drunk
it is
people.
True.
That's made up.
It is
made
damn
up.
true, right? People in chat, back me up. There is a point when you're drinking where it actually makes you better at shooters. But if you go over the edge, then you get worse. But there's like this perfect singularity where you drink just enough, you get a buzz on that, you actually perform better. And I am in that zone right now. I'm wrecking people with Ash. Left, right, and center. Left, right, and center, man. There is a sweep. It applies to golf and video games. Smokey says it, man.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess if Smokey says it and everybody else in the chat says it, I guess that must be true. Aramex says, Jez, I just added the whole article to the Discord for you, so check that out, Jez, about the
he's
thing.
He's an awesome dude. I'm gonna write that up after the show, so thank you very much for that.
Everybody's saying he's right. He's speaking the truth. And Sleepy Goblin says there's a point where I think I'm better. Doom Reaper says when you stop thinking and just react. Same with bowling. Geez, I guess I'm wrong on this one. Maybe I should drink. Maybe if I drank for the show, we'd put on a better podcast for everybody. If I was slightly buzzed, apparently.
I'm just doing it because it's British tradition, man. It's Friday night. I've worked hard and I'm trying to unwind.
You worked hard or hardly worked?
I worked hard, man. I got a lot. I did a lot of traffic this week. Windows Central had its best traffic week ever last week.
Ever, huh?
Ever. Last week, or was it the week before? It was recently. It was last week or the week before. I have a very, very weak perception of time right now. But we had our best traffic week ever. In an economy where websites are losing traffic and Google's changing its algorithm and lots of websites are losing traffic. Lots of our colleagues out of the future websites are losing traffic, but not Windows Central. We had our best traffic week ever. So thanks for everyone who got mad about my article this week because you gave me shitloads of hits.
One bad mother in the chat says we need drunk judges to make predictions.
Oh no, we don't. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we'll do that in a bit.
Richard Dalu is in the super chat says Microsoft should drop a no disc Series X, abandon the Series S, and let customers trade in their Series S for the new X. Big L, but it would address dev concerns.
There's no dev concerns. It's fake news.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to that. I think that would be a huge mistake, Richard. Because people wouldn't abandon the Series S and they wouldn't trade them in, and they'd be sitting there wondering why their stuff doesn't work and why it's not getting any new games. And why would you make a no-disc Series S? I don't know. Bade Thanos says, drinking a lot of Irish Stout makes me a better driver and shooter in Grand Theft Auto Online. Okay.
Yeah, I don't recommend drinking and driving.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't have a driver's license. That's probably a good thing.
And Achievement says, I'm drinking Bullet Bourbon playing Persona while listening. I've literally gone from cloud to console to PC on Persona. Xbox saves are god tier. They are god tier, and they're not locked behind a subscription either. Boom! Imagine that.
Oh man, Rand being toxic.
How am I being toxic when I'm pointing out a simple fact?
Dude,
how's that toxic?
If you criticize Sony, you're toxic.
Oh, is that true? If you criticize PlayStation, are you toxic? I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe you won't. Maybe you won't get review codes if you criticize them pretty harshly. You'll get taken off the PR list. But I ain't getting no PlayStation codes. So You know, and I've already went through my whole thing with Xbox. Even when they
Oh, dude.
even when they cut me off, they still sent me codes for reviews and stuff. When I
Do you know
when
what I
upset.
realized?
What?
I realized that Sony offered me a review code for God of War Ragnarok.
Okay. Remember what you said?
Yeah, I fucked up.
What? Go back and get it.
No, I replied, "Can I have a PC code, please?" Well, I don't have a PlayStation.
Yeah,
right?
but I mean, like, get one. Remember the deal? He said if you got me God of War early, I'd play Peppa the Pig or whatever, tit for tat. Remember?
Oh, that's not happening.
Come on.
I don't know why, but I thought God of War Ragnarok was launching on PC. I don't know why I thought that, but I did. And I was like, "Can I have a PC code, please?" And they just didn't reply. Oh man, it cracks me up.
It doesn't crack me up because I could be playing God of War right now, and then would
I
gladly
wasn't
play Peppa
trolling.
Pig. You know?
I wasn't being a dick. I just genuinely thought it was launching on PC. I don't know why, but yeah, it shows how much attention I pay to what Sony's doing. Really.
Yeah, I guess. But let's talk about the CMA taking emails. I guess as part of their steps of their phase 2. You know, they listen to everybody, listen to Microsoft and Sony and all these other people, but they also want to hear from you, everybody in the Xbox 2 chat. They want to hear from gamers across the world, hardcore gamers, casual gamers, PlayStation fans, Xbox fans. They want to know what you think about this acquisition.
Nintendo fans.
But not Nintendo fans because they're not part of the same market, and they're a whole bunch of kids, and it's a handheld, so it doesn't compete. And
it doesn't.
You're dumb if you think so. Data says so, and blah. Either way, they want to know what you think. And people have been DMing me. People have been asking the chat, should us as Xbox fans type up a sternly lettered, response or email and send it to the CMA?
Sternly lettered?
Yeah, like a sternly worded. Sternly worded.
Sternly worded letter.
A
sternly worded wrench in the bucket.
Sternly worded wrench in a bucket. So, and my answer to that is like, look, if one bad mother is writing a letter to the CMA, then everybody should do it. But if one bad mother is not doing it, then probably number one, I can't even believe this is really a thing. That they're literally on social media. And it's odd because all these other regulators are basically doing stuff behind the scenes. You don't really hear about it until you hear the decision. But the CMA is like doing victory laps and stuff on Twitter and with emojis and stuff. It's absurd and seemingly unprofessional.
Weird, yeah.
And now they're like, let us hear from you. And it's like, bro, I feel for the person who has to read those emails because some of the shit I've seen written or shared online make my freaking eyes bleed. So should you write something? Probably not, because I don't really think it matters. I don't even think they're gonna read anybody's emails anyways, because it's not like Xbox has no games. Let's just imagine that's a PlayStation user email name. It's not like, they're going to really read what he says and, look, you know what? He brings up a good point that, here in his email that we should really consider, or, PlayStation sucks or whatever. I can't come up with any of these good names that I'm sure you've seen online to talk about stuff. Infinite Umbra says, I have my email prepared already. It reads, Xbox better CMA. So
I might send that email. Let's just all collectively email
all of us.
The CMA, Xbox better.
Aramix says, how many sponsors will actually be UK residents? It doesn't matter. People will be emailing in all across the world, being like, help, Xbox, this needs to go through because they're in last place. And PlayStation emails would be like, you have to block this because I want to see the bots cry on social media, right? I can only imagine the arguments made. And not only that, but I can only imagine the excellent grammar and punctuation and that are going to be used. I'm sure everybody is using proper paragraphing format, proper sentence structure, proper. I'm sure everybody's also using what is it? Spell check to make sure that there's no misspellings and that nothing's written in error. Like Keasante says we should all email the CMA to say do your research. Yeah, I couldn't imagine wasting my time, even if my time was only 2 minutes, to write some stupid email and send it off to the CMA. I just couldn't imagine doing that. That couldn't be me. Because, I'm not really... I know there's some people who be like, oh man, I hope this deal gets blocked because people like Rand and Cold Eastwood would be crying on social media. Like, do you really think...
I would be crying.
You'd be crying because you want Bobby Kotick gone, you want Blizzard to be able to shine, you want all that stuff.
I want my Heroes of the Storm, man. I want Heroes of the Storm on Xbox so badly. I
would be like, all right, it's blocked, I guess. Move on to something else. It wouldn't be that much of a big deal to me. You'd be devastated. I'd be like, whatever. Like,
I'll be devastated. I would have been. I'll email my boss and say I need some time.
You need some time.
I need some time. I need to mourn. I would be devastated, man. But yeah. I'll go through that 5 stages of grief, 7 stages.
You would go through it.
I'd go through fucking 50 stages of grief if that shit gets blocked. I tell you, man.
Yeah, so you heard it here first. PlayStation guys, if it does get blocked, make sure to troll Jez, because he will definitely be in his feelings that day.
Yeah, it's not because of Xbox, it's because of Blizzard. I want Blizzard to be Blizzard again, before the whole Activision bullshit. But, we can't always have what we want in life. I've learned that acutely over the years.
So, you know what? I'm gonna make a poll. I'm gonna make a poll, see if anybody's actually going to write in. I'm curious to see if any and please vote truthfully. I don't want people to vote, hell yeah, I'm gonna write up an email today and send it to the CMA. I want to know for real if people are actually planning. Are you going to write an email to the CMA about the Xbox Activision deal? Question mark. Hell yeah. And hell no, I guess would be the response. Hell yeah. Hell no. I want to know how many people here are actually going to do it. Vote truthfully, please. This poll literally should be 100% hell no. But I have a feeling it's not going to be. So, see, it starts off with 70.
I've already had some DMs where people have sent me the email they sent.
Oh my god.
People are emailing.
I mean, I know. I believe you. I've seen it on social media that people are emailing. I don't know.
I'm not going to email because Microsoft already sent them my opinion.
Yeah, they've seen your articles. Maybe someone's submitted my videos or something, talking about this.
Microsoft literally linked my article in their disposition, which is incredible.
Yeah,
I should charge them some money.
And they used your article about Project Midnight as evidence against Microsoft.
Yeah, which is laughable.
Which is ridiculous.
The game doesn't even exist.
Jared Bishop says, I was considering it until Rand bullied me into not. Hey, I'm not bullying anybody. You do you, bro. If Jared, you want to write that email, be my guest. I'm just saying I wouldn't write that email. And Sebastian Cooper says the Xbox army needs to rise up. Here's the thing. The reason I say don't do it is because they're not going to read it. It doesn't mean it's not going to mean anything to whether or not the deal goes through. I think it's just a gigantic waste of your time. And even if no Xbox fans wrote in favor of it and some PlayStation fans wrote against it, it still wouldn't matter, because what's going to matter is what's Microsoft's arguments versus PlayStation's arguments and all that stuff. So that's why I say don't do it. because I honestly believe it won't matter whatsoever. They're not even going to read the thing. Sofa King says I submitted Hoag's 8-hour stream. So, yeah. So that's going on here. And we still have more to talk about a little bit later on about the CMA. But I wanted to talk.
No. Rand.
What?
I ran out of cola.
You ran out of cola?
Which means we have to drink rum neat now.
Ugh.
No cola left. Which means
Okay.
accelerating the drunkenness right now.
So, Jez, I want to talk about your leak of Avowed on social media this past week.
It wasn't my leak.
Bro,
what are you talking about?
Everybody came to me and said, "Did you see what Jez leaked the Avowed screenshot?"
Dude,
you were even written in articles where they spelled your name wrong 3 separate times in the article.
In the same article.
Yeah. So
yeah, I did not leak Avowed. I did not leak it, man. That situation was so strange. So what happened was, I'll tell you what happened, right? I was organizing some files.
Okay.
I was organizing some files, and I found a bunch of Avowed files, that I was, cleaning up and moving to a different hard drive. And I was like, oh man, the game looks so good. It looks so gorgeous. It looks so awesome. It's going to be great. So I just randomly tweeted, I think people are going to be impressed with Avowed, because when you compare the footage that I've got of Avowed, which I'm never ever gonna share, if you compare the footage of Avowed against like some of their older games, like The Outer Worlds, for example, the step up in quality is noticeable. Like really noteworthy. They've invested a lot in improving everything, and the footage that I've got is very old. It's very old, man. It's well over a year old. So God knows where it is right now, in terms of quality. So, I was just like, yeah, I think people are going to be impressed by Avowed. I think people, I think they're going to do something really cool and something really special. And then like someone replied, they replied something like, show us the screenshot, or show us, right? So I was like, I was feeling a bit saucy, a bit spicy,
of course, yes.
So yeah, I often do feel a bit saucy, a bit spicy. So I opened Photoshop. And I dropped a screenshot into Photoshop, and I slapped a filter on it, a mosaic filter, and I filled the hell out of that thing, because I was thinking like, I need to crank this filter up to make sure people don't like artificial intelligence reverse engineer it. So I had big pixels, man, big chunky pixels on that thing. I was like, here you go, here's a picture of Avowed. And yeah, as expected, people did try and use artificial intelligence to pixelate it. And but to my surprise, someone replied with the unpixelated screenshot.
What?
Yes. And the whole reason that I wrote the article back whenever it was.
Yeah, when you saw the gameplay footage of Avowed, but it was more of a test, which then you showed me. I've seen it. So I've seen about gameplay, because people
I showed
like
you, and I showed
Clobrill's seen it. Yeah.
I haven't shown anyone else.
But I don't know. It seems that sort of. I think it seems that either that screenshot or the footage had been floating around, though.
Yeah, well, that's the whole reason. The whole reason I wrote that article was because I knew that footage was out there. Like, it was being shared around some Discords and some places, but I thought it was like pretty much contained. I didn't want it getting out because it was early footage and it wasn't representative of the final product. So I thought, like, I'll just write a preview of it, and sort of explain to people what they should expect. And but clearly someone who'd been privy to the footage shared the actual screenshot of the thing that I'd filtered. So then I was like, oh man, I gotta just admit that that's real now. So yeah.
So yes, it is.
That's how it happened. It wasn't my leak, but it was out there.
It is a real screenshot.
It's a real screenshot.
Yep.
Of an old build.
Older build. Before or after, quote unquote, the reboot? Because someone did ask you on Twitter about the reboot that Jason Schreier talked about. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So this screenshot was actually, I believe, after the reboot.
Okay.
So I've been digging into the status of Avowed, because Jason Schreier wrote this stuff, but They don't describe it internally as a reboot. They just sort of refer to it as a sort of a change in direction and restructuring. And you know, I don't want to paraphrase too hard because I don't want to misrepresent the reality and what their vision was. But to sort of describe it, the way Obsidian sort of explained it was they were focused. They were sort of like they felt like they had this obligation now that they were part of Xbox to go to the next level. So they were sort of like, yeah, everything has to be this way, and we need to have as many features as possible, and it needs to be super, super like huge game, and we need to prove that we're now a AAA super duper mega studio because we're part of Microsoft. And they were so focused on this that nothing was getting done. They were focused on like little things that didn't matter so much, and they were focused on features that maybe weren't the best for the game they were trying to build. And ultimately, what happened was they went back to the drawing board and was like, "Look, let's just make an Obsidian game. Let's just make an Obsidian game and take it to the next level, and accept the reality that we're still a smaller studio. We're not like Ubisoft that has 800 people working on a game. Let's ditch some of these things and just make a focused next level Obsidian game." And when they did that, everything started falling into place, and the development started going better. So a lot of the, concerns, quote unquote, about the game being rebooted are completely unfounded because it's sort of like it was more like a change in vision, and a sort of acceptance that they didn't have the resources to make like, a game that's 800 hours long or something like that. It was sort of like, let's, grow organically, make a sort of next level Outer Worlds kind of experience. And when they did that, the development started going better, and they took the pressure off themselves, and everything was hunky dory, as we say in Britain. So I'm quite intrigued to find out what it is, and that's the status of Avowed as of last year. So it's not like this is recent information. It's quite old, right? There's a lot of there's speculation about what kind of game it will be, but it basically looks like Skyrim in a lot of ways to me. It looks kind of like a sort of, oh my god, I got to play the game. It kind of looks like Sky. It's kind of, they've literally said that themselves. It looks like their take on Skyrim. It looks like what Obsidian would make if they were making a Skyrim kind of game. But it's also like it's also set in the Pillars of Eternity universe. It uses it's set in the Living Lands. It's all Pillars of Eternity lore. It's still an RPG. You can be a caster, you can be an archer, you can be a warrior, all that kind of stuff with Obsidian's biting wit. And I'm really excited for it, man.
Yeah, I mean,
really, really excited.
when I saw the footage, my first thought was, "Oh, this kind of looks like a more colorful Skyrim." But you showed it to me quite a while ago, so I don't know how much it's changed since then. And that was like pre-alpha footage, so after playing through all of Grounded, because I finally finished Grounded. I know I didn't talk about this at the beginning when I talked about the games I played, but we're talking about Obsidian, so gotta talk about Grounded. Put 50 hours into it, Jez. 50 hours. Played it all in co-op with my good buddy, the one and only Colt Eastwood. Man, we had a blast. We had so much fun playing that game. It's one of those games where, like, originally when it debuted in 2019, people made fun of it. People were like, "Oh my god, we don't need this," and it's become like a big hit. It's like over 10 million players. The 1.0's out, and me and Colt had a blast playing it. So I've been put 50 hours into that, and I beat Deathloop again. Playing Modern Warfare 2, beat Plague's Tale. Not all the games are out, so it's like, now I'm just like, all right, well, enough of the reading, because I haven't read a book since I read The Troop, which, I actually got a lot of DMs about The Troop, about the game that is so fucked up, it'll fuck you up because it's disgusting and a horror book. I guess
what
people
game?
want it. It's not a game, it was a book called The Troop. I talked about it when I finished it a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
Sorry. But I actually got quite a few DMs from people wanting to know more about it, which is fantastic. So I haven't actually read anything since then because I've been playing so much, and I've been watching Vinland Saga and Cyberpunk. So Yeah, I freaking really enjoyed Grounded. And since we're on the topic about Obsidian, we gotta talk about what they said about Fallout recently, Jez. Right?
Yes.
So
This was fun. This whole
this
Obsidian
interesting.
thing was
Well,
fun.
it's interesting because it seemed like 2 weeks ago, or when the 25th anniversary happened, someone asked Obsidian on social media, and they're like, "No, we're busy. Sorry." Right? And people are like, "Oh my God, we're gonna be waiting to 2032, for a new Fallout game. This is ridiculous." But in an interview with Dual Shockers, Fergus, who's a studio head of Obsidian, basically, when asked about whether they would welcome the opportunity to work on a new Fallout game, he said, "Of course, if we ever get the opportunity to make another Fallout game, we'd make it. That's not even a question of whether or not we would do it. It's just, will the opportunity arise?" And then he goes on to say, "At some point, we'll start looking into what those next games are going to be, and I would be surprised if Fallout is not on that list. If we were to do Fallout, it has to tie in with what Bethesda's doing with Fallout and a lot of other things. But I would always personally say my hope is that before I ride off into the sunset, I love to make another Fallout game." So how you feeling about it now, Jez? How you feeling about getting a new Fallout game before 2032, before you're 80 years old and decrepit and needing a cane to walk? And yeah, does this sound good? Does this kind of seem like when Avowed is finished and they're looking for the next game to do, that it's time for Fallout New Vegas 2? I know Jeff Grubb had reported that early conversations were starting at the studio about doing a new Fallout. What do you think? Does it make you excited?
I think this is interesting because it was sort of like it was almost a response to the tweet that Obsidian put out there, because there was like it was the franchise's 25th anniversary. Was
Yep.
it this week or last week? It was Fallout's 25th anniversary, and Obsidian put out a tweet that was sort of like, "Congratulations," and then it was like at the end, "No, we're not working on a
Yeah.
new Fallout game." And that was like, a lot of people were disappointed by that, because a lot of people really like the idea of a New Vegas 2 or some kind of success to New Vegas, like Fallout Chicago, as Rand really
Yes.
wants. And so that's sort of that's what the response was. And then there was sort of an interview between Fergus. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his surname because I've never heard it pronounced. And if I try and pronounce it myself, it'll be absolutely butchered. It'll be like popping a VATS on his name, and then slow motion gore just exploding out, eyeball flying around and stuff like that. So I'm not even going to try. But Fergus of Obsidian, this the studio head, he almost clarified it, and I can't remember the outlet. Was it VentureBeat?
It was Dual
maybe?
Shockers.
Dual Shockers, which is surprising. I'm surprised Dual Shockers got that interview, but Dual Shockers got the interview. Fair play to them, and they interviewed Fergus from Obsidian, and he said, he said what you said. You quoted him. He said that ultimately they would like to work on another Fallout, which is sort of like, it almost feels like a response to that tweet. It's like, never say never kind of thing, but it also has to line up with, a lot of things. What does Bethesda want for the franchise? What is Bethesda doing? Is Bethesda working on a Fallout 5? Do they have a plan for Fallout 5? Will that interfere with Obsidian potentially working on a Fallout game and all that kind of stuff? And I think we talked about it last week, this idea that Microsoft bought ZeniMax for $1 billion, billion, trillion.
$7 billion. Yep.
$7 billion. And they bought ZeniMax, and one of the biggest IPs that they bought with that purchase was Fallout. And they're not in a position to do anything with the biggest IP that they purchased, or one of the biggest. It's insane, really, when you think about it, to not have a plan for what Fallout is. And it's hilarious because they're the only like Fallout updates we're getting are Fallout 76, which, by the way, is extremely popular, which not a lot of people want to admit and want to hear. But Fallout 76 is very popular. Still got a lot of players and a lot of subscribers, and it makes a lot of money. But also Fallout Shelter started getting updates again, which is hilarious to me. Which we could probably talk about more in a bit, because that ties into Microsoft potentially making their own Android gaming store, which we'll talk about in a bit, I guess. Was that a topic, Rand, that you had listed down?
I
'Cause
mean,
that
it
was
is,
news this
but
week as
I
well.
mean, we can talk about it now if you want. Like,
We'll talk about it in a bit, but they were basically like they're sort of, I don't know, assuaging the kind of fear that there's no future for Fallout, or like, we'd be waiting forever for a new Fallout, which obviously no one wants. We don't want to be waiting till we're all 80 years old for a new Fallout, because it is one of the biggest franchises that Microsoft purchased with the ZeniMax deal. So, when I was on Defining Duke last week, we talked, was it this week or last week? I can't even remember. But me and Mr. Matty plays, Mr. Matty built his channel on Fallout, and so obviously he wants to see Fallout come back. There's I think they should make a new studio that's dedicated just to Fallout, and that's sort of Matty's whole thing. And I completely agree. How are you going to purchase Fallout and then not have a studio dedicated to Fallout besides, Fallout 76? It's kind of wild, right? Although, like, I think a lot of Fallout development's being handled by third parties now, but I don't know. I digress. It's a weird situation to be in, because they've got Starfield, they've got Elder Scrolls 6 to work on next, which leaves us in a situation where we don't get a new Fallout for a million years, which is not what you want. It's really not what you want. So whether it's Obsidian working on it or they build a new studio, something needs to be done. We can't go 10 years without a Fallout game. We can't go 10 years without a mainline Fallout game. Are they serious? Are they seriously going to deprive us of Fallout for this long? But yeah, is what it is.
they're gonna deprive you. Sorry.
Nah, I often think, like, what would be cool if I want to see the Wasteland 3 engine used to do a remake of Fallout 1 and 2. I think that'd be sick as well. Maybe.
Yeah, that would be. Going back to the little vote here that's been up for 20 minutes. I figured it's a good time to give the results. Are you going to write an email to the CMA about the Xbox Activision deal? Hell no. Won the vote at 73%. Wasn't as high as I thought it would be. And hell yeah, came in at 27%. So 27% of the people watching the show right now, or at least actually voted in the poll, are going to end up writing an email to the CMA. So thank you guys for voting. Hopefully it was a truthful vote. So yeah, could you imagine?
I'm not going to write a vote because they already know.
You're not going to write a vote? Okay, fair enough.
I'm not going to write an email. Sorry.
Yes.
No.
Just send them your
article.
article.
Write an email. They've already seen it. Microsoft sent. Oh shit! I almost spilled rum all over my laptop.
Oh my god! Here we go. Shout out to Black Helmet Man in the super chat saying, "Why does the CMA care about a Japanese company concerns of two American companies?"
It's so interesting because one of the things that happened this week was the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which is a lobbying group, by the way. I didn't know that. I thought U.S. Chamber of Commerce sounds pretty fucking official to me, but it is just a lobbying group. They're a private business, but they do represent well, to quote their website, they represent millions of businesses in America and the business interests of, places in America. And they were alarmed. They were alarmed by the CMA blocking two American companies from doing a business deal together. And I'm kind of alarmed about that as well. And you guys know I ain't a fan of Facebook. I was on Defining Duke railing on Meta to poor old Cog who had to listen to all my bullshit, considering he works for Meta. But I was still kind of confused. I was like, why can the UK block a deal between two American companies? That's very strange. And I'm sure there's things Facebook could have done. They could have appealed again, maybe, or something like that. But maybe, because Facebook's in a situation where, they're kind of losing a lot of money right now. So maybe Facebook's thinking like, we could save a bit of money on this, and just sort of maybe we can do a cheaper deal with We can do a deal with Giphy instead and save a bit of money because Facebook's lost 60% of its value last year. So maybe they didn't want to put up a fight on that basis, right? Which I appreciate, But yeah, it's sort of interesting that the US Chamber of Commerce came out and criticized the CMA, saying they were basing their rulings on speculative evidence about Giphy, potential. If Giphy was part of Facebook, maybe it would harm the market for web-based advertising. And it's kind of like, as if, who gives a shit, man? Like, what the hell is Giphy to a global advertising? It's all Google. It's all Google. It's all Facebook. Like, who cares about Giphy? That ship has well and firmly sailed, and it feels like it's more like an ideological thing where governments around the world are like, yeah, let's punish Facebook. Let's punish Facebook because Facebook's done all this bad shit. But it's it's all speculative. It's almost like black magic. It's like, how do we know what they're actually thinking about some of this shit? We don't know. We don't know what the real reasons are. We don't know what they're talking about behind closed doors. It's they come out and say this stuff that it doesn't really scan in reality. Because I don't know if Giphy is like a popular website. Is it a popular platform for advertising stuff? I've never visited Giphy.com. Like, it's so strange that they would block this to me, even though like I'm by no means a fan of Facebook, and I'm happy to see Facebook fail at any opportunity. But this just feels like it was ideological to me, especially because it was like a transaction between two American companies. So if they're being ideological about this, what else would they be ideological about? Which is kind of the basis of my article,
Yeah.
which you didn't agree with.
Well, we'll talk about that. And I guess through some of these super chats, it says Achievement says, "How long do I have to play before I get a waifu?" I guess he's talking about Persona. How long before you get a waifu in Persona, Jez?
I've been playing for 28 hours in Persona, and I still don't have a waifu. No maidens, bro.
No, maidenless. Vyrix X Phantom says, "Could we see a new prototype in the future?" I'm assuming he's talking about Prototype the game, like a new prototype game. I mean, you never know. I think that'd be further into the future, but yeah, I wouldn't discount the possibility. Richard says, "I need some official updates from Xbox Game Studios titles in 2023." I mean, you and me both. Microsoft did their whole at E3. Microsoft's whole E3 was basically like, here's the next 12 months. See you next year. Later. Bye. It was just like, is that it? Is this like, okay, so, all right. So you got Starfield, you got Redfall, you got Forza, you got Minecraft Legends, which now has a spring 2023 release date after Minecraft Live. Shout out to SubZX for helping that. I believe he was part of. What else is supposed to come? Like Ghostwire Tokyo, Era History Untold, and a whole bunch of Game Pass deals. Everybody's like, all right. Well, most people don't believe Starfield's coming out by June. Everybody sort of believes it's just going to be delayed a year anyways. But everybody's kind of focused on, is anything coming at the end of 2023? Is Hellblade 2, which they posted a tweet today about like anisotropic camera lenses or something, trying to get like that cinematic feel in a game, which I'm sure just is right up Jez's alley. What? Anisotropic. But yeah, they talk about how we get the cinematic feel in a video game, and I already was when I heard that, I'm like, oh, Jez is gonna love this. But I love it. Jez hates it. Is Hellblade coming out? What about Contraband? What about Avowed? What about Perfect Dark and all these other games? What's going on with the Xbox Game Studios in 2023? And I don't have any updates. I don't know, Jez, do you have any updates?
No updates.
Are you saying no, but you actually do have updates, but you're just not going to say them here? Look at all the codes you gave away in chat, by the way.
Yeah, I gave away some codes in chat. I need to give away some codes on Discord as well for the peeps that aren't here live. But I don't know. I don't have much fresh information right now, frankly. I'm sort of running on empty. If anyone wants to leak anything, hit me up on Twitter.
Yeah, hit Jez up on Twitter. Miguel says, "Go play Phantom Abyss on Game
Oh,
Pass. Indie Game of the Year."
I actually do have something quite interesting
Oh,
that I'm working towards right
oh,
now, but I can't
oh.
talk about it yet. I
Oh,
haven't drank enough. I haven't drank enough to leak that one.
well,
So there.
okay. Flame says,
But it
"Rand, I will
pertains,
write a
I'll tell you what it
stern."
pertains to.
What?
I'll tell you what it pertains to the Xbox handheld.
What?
What?
An Xbox handheld? Hey, have you seen everybody on social media? I saw Sarah Bond and I saw Ken Lobb all tweet pictures of them playing Persona 5 on the Logitech handheld. It's almost like coordinated.
Where's my G Cloud, Rand?
Yeah, Logitech G Cloud.
Yeah, where's mine?
Mm.
They were emailing me non-stop when they wanted me to
Yeah,
record
why didn't
the
they send
news.
you one? They wanted you to
I don't
cover
know.
it, but then when it came to getting a review copy, they're like, later,
No,
we're
later,
ghosting you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I hate that so much. So many companies do that. They're like really friendly when they want you to report on the news or the announcement. Then when it comes to review units, they're sort of like, oh, bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. So is this thing you're working on with the Xbox handheld? Can you tell it to me after the show?
No. Oh, maybe. Didn't I already tell you? Maybe
You
I
might
didn't.
have. I don't know. Who knows what you've told me? I mean, I don't even really care about an Xbox handheld, anyways. Whatever. Who cares?
Oh. Well, yeah. I don't know. It's all fun and games, baby. It's all fun and games, baby.
Flame says, "Rand, I will write a sternly lettered email." I know you will, Flame. I know you will. And Bando says, "High on Life." Yes, High on Life coming out in December. Yeah, that game looks pretty cool. So let's talk about some of these Xbox updates. I mean, we still have a lot here to talk about. Series S holding the gen back, PlayStation blocking Game Pass, Silent Hill stuff, Resident Evil stuff, Jez's article, Sony's going to regret this. Jez's article being like, "You're going to regret getting involved, PlayStation. Satya and Phil, they're coming for you."
They could come for
Yeah, they could. So if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you hit the like button. And let's talk about these updates really quickly, because they've actually added quite a bit in October.
Yes, they have.
Probably the biggest one, although it's not available for everybody right now. It's just available on Alpha Ring, but it'll be available for soon. Is that it's super easy to join Discord channels now. Before you had to link your account, which isn't that big of a deal. Of course you had to, because how else would it know? But you actually then had to join the voice channels on your phone and then send that information to the console. But, people were happy with Discord voice on Xbox. But now it's super simple, because when you open up your party chat menu, now there's just an option there for Discord voice channels. And it literally shows you all the Discord channels that you're in. And you click on one, and then it shows you all the voice channels that are available to join. However, if you want to start a direct call with somebody, that you still have to do from the phone. So, this is something that people have been asked for, and yeah, Jez, what do you think about this? I saw you made a little video about it on Twitter.
Yeah, I haven't. It's kind of weird, because it's kind of like, why didn't they just make it this way to start with? They've kept that feature. Like even on this Discord call that we're currently in, if I go to Discord and click on the channel, we can actually transfer this voice call to Xbox. Like there's literally a button. I don't know if you can see that, right? But they've kept that feature. So like maybe it's sort of like a convenience sort of feature. Although at the same time, I don't know why you'd want to do that. I suppose it's kind of like if you want to mix the game sound in at the same time. But it's kind of cool to see this all happen, because there was that whole sort of thing back in spring where it was like, oh, Sony's partnering with Discord, but now it's like, it's the opposite. We've got Xbox doing all the partnering with Discord, but it's cool to see. It's cool to see, but it's also sort of like, it's a little bit weird at the same time. It's kind of like, are they sort of admitting that, their party chat system isn't the best? It's sort of like, or are they just accepting the fact that Discord has become the de facto platform now for voice chat? It's like, we've given up on Skype, we've given up on the Xbox app, we've given up on Xbox clubs and all that kind of stuff. Discord is the way and the future, and
I think some of it has to do with the fact that Xbox Party Chat is now free. Because before it used to be locked behind a gold account.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Before they made free to play free, where remember it used to be locked behind gold, Party Chat was locked behind gold. But now that free to play's free and Party Chat's free, it's kind of like, all right, well, there's not that carrot on the stick for people to subscribe to gold to get Party Chat. So now it's like, all right, well, if everybody's on Discord and that's something we can add to the Xbox ecosystem really easily, why not do it? But I will say, this is a feature that, so they put out the whole Discord the way it was before, which was all right. I mean, it required a few extra steps, but people wanted it, and we weren't sure we were ever going to get it. And then people were like, well, you could make it better. And the feedback was like, why don't you just make it easier? And they went and actually made it easier. So, the team listened to the feedback and gave fans exactly what they want. And now this comes to the point where it's like, well, if you really wanted this, then show us that you're actually going to use it, right? Or is it just people complaining on Twitter, but then not actually following through? Because this is it seems to me like an actual direct result of the feedback. And if now people don't use it or use it any more than before, it's like, was there really that much of an audience for it here? Similar to Japanese games on Xbox. People be like, we want Japanese games on Xbox, but then when the Japanese games show up, nobody actually plays them, right? So it's there is sort of that to think about. So you have Discord voice,
egg, maybe chicken and egg. The thing is, people don't even know about these games. They don't even know about these features. Most people just log on, play FIFA, and that's it.
Yeah, it's true. That is true. Play Call of Duty or Fortnite. They also updated the My Game or the capture section, and people thought this was meaning they were going to update and improve the Xbox game DVR, but I believe that's not the case. Jez, I guess the game DVR isn't fixed. Just how you view the clips and being able to trim stuff on the console as well as the new trimming app on the phone.
No.
But
I'll tell you.
Okay, you tell us.
I'll tell you. Calm yourself down, Rand. Calm yourself down. I'll tell you. What they've done is they've split off the capture system from the shell. They've split it off from the operating system, and now the capture stuff, the settings, the library, and the trimming, all that is now separated into its own app.
Okay.
So rather than having to update the entire operating system to update the capture stuff, they can now update it separately as an app, and you can get more updates more quickly and more iteration more rapidly. That's the whole reason they've separated it out. And there was some confusion about that. I saw some bloggers and some websites were like, "Oh, there's this new captures app," and and it's all these new features, but it's just the code of the library that already existed and some of that stuff, but they've separated it out into a new app, so they can iterate on it better. Although it's sort of disappointing to me, Rand, because I had a prediction that they were gonna use Clipchamp for it, but apparently not. They might still use Clipchamp, maybe, I don't know. But right now we've got a new app. I think what's it called, Clips or something? I think it's called Clips. I can't remember what it's called. I don't have access to it yet because it's only on the alpha ring. It's not on the alpha skip-ahead ring, which is really annoying. But as soon as it's out on the skip-ahead ring, I will do a video and show you what it's all about. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing ultimately, because it means now it's a separate app. They don't have to update the entire operating system to update the game DVR and update some of the features for editing clips and stuff like that. So, in a world where pretty much every social media platform is moving towards video first, the fact that Microsoft is so behind on sharing clips and sharing video footage from your console is a missed opportunity, but it sounds like they're catching up now. So I'm pretty happy about it. And it's interesting to see how much they've been investing in that space. It took a while, I think they said back in January they were investing in the game DVR, but
yeah,
we're here now. We're finally getting there.
So those are the features in testing. And then the October update came out, and you can now change your TV volume directly from the console. You can actually mute.
DC, baby.
You can actually mute the Xbox startup sound if you want. If you want a silent experience, you can mute it. You can. There's something to do with like the power modes. You made something about this on Twitter as well, right? Like it shows you how much power you're using.
Yeah, they've added like a visual which shows how much electricity or how much wattage your power settings are draining. And this is part of Microsoft's sort of climate change initiative, let people know how much energy they're using and whether it's actually needed. They've reduced the startup time of the Xbox console so much that it's almost not even worth using standby mode anymore. So I have mine set to just power off mode, just because it generates less heat. When you've got your Xbox in standby mode, it generates a lot of heat. I think it's like 40 Celsius when it's in standby mode. So like if you want to reduce how warm your room is, which is something I wanted to do over the summer. God, this summer was horrible. Heat wave after heat wave after heat wave. What were they calling it? Heat domes? Yeah, heat domes. I hated that shit. This summer was horrible in Europe. It was awful. So I was like, I'm going to put my Xbox into power saving mode the whole damn time because it just generates less heat, right? But now we get into winter. Maybe I'll stick it in standby mode so I can have some passive heating in my room because Europe's got no gas. We've got no gas in Europe anymore, Rand. We're all going to freeze this winter. Oh well.
Well, it was nice knowing you. Nice knowing you. So we got a super chat here from Jacqueline. Who says, so Persona is the premier game for xCloud and handheld devices. Still think Capcom over Sega. I'm calling Sega in 2024, and Rand is a slut. He calls me a name here. Unbelievable.
I see that in you.
You see what? Excuse you?
Excuse me, what?
Unbelievable.
Kraken is so good.
I know there's a bunch of people that want Xbox to acquire Sega, but those people are just crazy. It's all about Capcom, baby, and WB Games, baby.
WB Games?
Yeah, well, maybe not after Gotham Knights. Apparently,
the creators of Gotham Knights. No, thank you, Rand.
Bando Fox says we need a new Def Jam and NBA Street. So let's talk about the Series S holding the entire gen back, Jez. It's an albatross around developers' necks.
Albatross.
It's a potato. A lot of developers came out. Well, a couple developers came out recently, and then they didn't make their accounts private because they were just talking that shit about the Series S. And one of them said, "Hey, man, developers are out there in meetings, sitting around tables, trying to brainstorm ideas to get Microsoft to drop the Xbox Series X launch requirements." So, all right. The reason this is being brought up is because everybody's like 60 frames, loving it. It's amazing. And then you get two games back to back that are currently only on next-gen consoles, even though it seems like Gotham Knights was a cross-gen game originally. I don't know about Plague's Tale, but both those games run at 30. And people were like, well, why is this running at 30? Why is Plague's Tale running at 30? Why is Gotham Knights running at 30? And one of these developers, a Rocksteady artist, was like, have you heard about the Series S? Series S is just holding everything back, and that's why it's at 30. Even though when you break it down, the Series X and the PS5 run the game at 1440p at 30 frames, and the Series S runs it at 1080p 30 frames. And then on the flip side, Gotham Knights runs at like 4K 30, and the Series S runs it at 1440p 30 without ray tracing, and I guess holds frames better because of, the lower resolution and stuff. So it seems like maybe the PS5 and the Series X are holding back this, the Series S in a way. So look, I am not a tech guy. I don't know shit about tech. This is why I normally don't talk about tech. I haven't talked about FSR 2.0. I haven't talked about any of this stuff. I mean, I'll talk about what Microsoft said about RDNA 2, but like, they haven't really used any of these features on any of these games. They're all cross-gen. So like, I think the idea that like the Series S is holding the gen back when like literally every game is a game that is on the Xbox One or the PS4 or the goddamn Switch, but they're blaming the Series S. That doesn't smell right to me, right? And now you have, one of the devs being like, well, they're sitting around and I'm sure they don't want to work on the Series S because it's extra work, right? You have to, instead of just targeting a single platform like the Series X, well, now you got to do both. Even though myriad of PC configurations exist, from GPUs with 4090s to GPUs all the way down to 1060 or whatever the hell, you have a wide variety of PC hardware, all this stuff. But when I saw that this guy said that developers were trying to brainstorm how to get Microsoft to drop the Series S requirement, I thought that had to have been the dumbest thing I had heard in a long time. I understand developers not wanting to work on extra hardware, right? Takes more time. I get that. I understand that. We all don't want to do extra things. Creates more work for us, more problems. I get it. But the idea that the devs don't like it enough to the point where they're trying to sit around at a table being like, hey, Bobby, what's up, Mike? You think there's a way that we can get Microsoft to drop the Series S? Yeah, Timmy. I think there might be. We just need to come up with these ideas. Whatever their names are, I don't know. Right?
Timmy.
Whatever
Timmy
they are, I don't know.
Timmy Game Dev.
Because the idea to me that Microsoft would want to even entertain this, considering there's probably more Series S's sold than Series X's. So you're essentially saying to Microsoft, hey, more than half your user base ain't going to get any new games. Microsoft would just laugh in your face. There's a reason that both consoles are mandated. If you're going to put a game on Xbox, you got to run it on both platforms, right? So I just found that just to be just completely wild that devs would sit around and brainstorm an idea of how to get Microsoft to drop it. Microsoft is not dropping the requirement for the Series S. That is just absurd and ridiculous.
Of course they're not. It is a dumb whole thing. I don't know why this narrative even exists in a world where the GTX 1060 is still one of the most popular GPUs on Steam, and it's just laughable. You've got devs making PC games on x86 architecture for all kinds of hardware SKUs, and you're sitting there telling me that the Xbox Series S is holding the generation back, not the Nintendo Switch, not PC, older graphics cards and stuff. I think it's just a load of bullshit. I think it's just people who just don't like Xbox, and they just latch onto any single tiny little narrative they can to, create FUD, at the end of the day. If you look at performance of Modern Warfare 2 on the Xbox Series S, if you look at Chivalry and all these games that got updated and now they support 60 frames or they support 120 frames per second. And I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, Rand, but doesn't the Xbox Series S support more games at 120 frames than the PS5 itself? Or am I going crazy right now? I'm sure I saw that metric somewhere. Or
I don't know. I know Xbox Series S does support a lot of games at 120 frames. I don't know if it's more than the PS5. I don't know. I don't know if that's actually true.
I could be just talking bullshit.
You might be. But maybe you're actually right. Maybe there is a list out there, 120 frames games, and maybe Series X is doing pretty well.
That was rattling around in my head, but maybe it's wrong. I don't know. But the point is that the Series S has a lot of games at 160 frames per second.
160? Holy shit! We just went up 40. Goddamn.
120. Shut up. Yeah. So the idea that the Series S is holding the generation back is laughable. Not only is it laughable for that reason, but it's also laughable because, not everyone can afford a PlayStation 5. Not everyone can afford an Xbox Series X. So it's kind of so the console that's holding the generation back is the most affordable one that most people can afford in this current climate, in this current economy where no one can afford jack shit, and a banana costs €4 bloody fucking euros. So yeah, I was seriously doing groceries today, and there was a banana that cost €3. A banana. A banana.
What's a banana?
It's a fucking yellow fucking bastard.
You mean a banana?
Banana.
A
No,
banana? Not a banana.
It's a fucking banana.
It's a banana.
Mate. No, it's not a banana. It's not a banana. It's a banana. Fucking nana, mate.
Jesus, when you get drunk, you get violent, you get mouthy, you get sweary.
I'm fucking violent, mate. It's because you're saying banana wrong, mate. And oftentimes we don't even say the B. We just say nana in Britain, or at least in the West Midlands, we say nana. Give me a fucking nana, mate. Do you not say that in America?
No.
You know, you always say the banana. But if I said to you, I want a nana, you know what I mean.
Jesus, man. With the swearing, demonetization. Jesus Christ.
Demonetization. Oh, sorry, I just demonetized Rand.
You just demonetized my whole platform.
Yeah, well, shit happens, buddy. But anyway, why the fuck are we talking about a banana? Oh, it's because it's really expensive. It's really expensive. So you're telling me I have to make a choice. These developers are telling me I have to make a choice between a PlayStation 5 or a banana, which costs €4. It's gone up. Inflation. Since I last talked about it, it used to be €3.87. But since the last time I talked about it, it's gone up. Now it's €4 because that's inflation. That's inflation, baby. And you're telling me you want me to choose between my daily intake of potassium and PlayStation 5? No, thank you. I'll buy a Series S, which is far more affordable and lets me get my daily fucking vitamins in as well, man.
Vitamins?
Vitamins
and banana vitamins? What the hell are vitamins?
Banana. Vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin
B12. What the fuck is a vitamin?
A vitamin.
A vitamin.
Sorry.
There we go.
Vitamin.
Speak it properly.
Speak it properly.
Yeah. Vitamin. Not fucking vitamin.
Vitamin, fucking whatever. But anyway, point is, vitamins are expensive, mate. And you're asking me to choose between my vitamins and PlayStation 5. You're asking me to make that choice. I will choose 1080p at 120 hertz. Thank you very much. And I'll ditch the 4K, and I'll ditch the extra foliage. Sorry, devs, that your game doesn't get a little bit of extra foliage rocking in there. But unfortunately, I need to not die. So I need my vitamin C. I need my vitamin B12. I need my whatever, folic acid. What are the other vitamins, Rand?
The what?
Vitamins. Give me some of the vitamins.
I don't know.
No? You don't know? Do you not take vitamin supplements?
Danero says, "Stop, Rand. Leave Jez alone."
Do you not take vitamin supplements, Rand?
I don't take any vitamin supplements. No.
What about vitamin D?
I believe my Propel gives me vitamin D. Actually, no, it doesn't. My Propel drink gives me vitamin C, potassium, vitamin E, niacin, vitamin B6, but no vitamin D. I don't know.
Vitamin D. Shit, man. Vitamin D is very important.
Uh-oh. You're botting. You're botting, bro.
Which is weird, because I'm...
You're botting hard. It's like you're a robot. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. I guess it's easy to say, Series X is going to hold everything back, but, I just don't see how you can make that claim right now. I mean, I understand, the memory might be an issue and stuff, but I don't think the CPU is. And yeah, the GPU is not the most powerful, but all these games are all coming out on PS4 and Xbox One and the Switch. So it's how is the Series S holding everything back? And the Series, I don't know. The whole idea of the developers ganging together and being drop this requirement at Microsoft is the most ridiculous, dumbest shit I've ever heard. But that's
I don't know why devs keep doing this, calling out the Series S when there's other games which are proving that the Series S is no slouch. Call of Duty, for God's sake. It's Call of Duty runs at 120 hertz.
Yeah, well, Call of Duty also has 10 studios working on it. So, I mean, there's a difference between 10 studios on Call of Duty and, one dev studio. But, I mean...
Is it really that hard?
I don't know. Really Are you a dev? I'm not a dev.
I'm not a dev. Is there a dev in chat? Do you need 10 studios to make a game run 120 hertz on the Series S?
I don't
I'm
know.
skeptical. I'm skeptical of this. Do I need 10 studios to make a 120 hertz game on the Series
Well,
S?
okay. So let's talk about the whole 30 frames thing again, right? Because now people are talking about like Starfield. Should we expect Starfield to only run at 30 frames, or should there be performance mode? You know, like I think people have gotten used to ever since the One X and the PS4, the mid-gen refreshes. Devs started offering performance modes, which were fantastic because I'd much rather play a game in 60 frames. 60 frames, right? And even when I was playing Plague Tale, I noticed something off. Like, yeah, it runs better at the 40 frames, 120 hertz, but there's still definitely times when it drops, when a lot of rats are on screen or when there's fire. It's not as smooth as it could be. I mean, I still love playing the game, but now you have Gotham Knights, and apparently that's not even a lock 30. It doesn't even stay locked at 30. So it's like, all right, so are we going to start seeing developers go back? Like, how do you feel about them going back to 30 frames? Or what about Starfield? Do you think God Howard's going to be like, I want my game to be 4K 30. I don't care about performance modes.
Maybe Rand. We just have to accept Filmic is back, baby.
No, we moved on from Filmic. You moved on from Filmic.
I will accept Filmic for Starfield, man.
Oh, Jesus Christ. See,
I think maybe Filmic is just the artist's vision, man. Maybe people who hate 30 frames, they just don't understand true art. Maybe that's what it is.
I don't know. I think, especially with the first party release, I think those games should always offer a performance mode. You know, if you're going to do 30 or 60, like I think Starfield should have a performance mode if you want to play it at 1080p 60 on console.
I think the ideal scenario is that there's always a performance mode, you know.
Yes.
I think I will accept 30 frames per second for a single player game. Like if it's a single player game, cinematic, and you know they want to push the visuals as hard as they can, fine. I will accept 30 frames in a single player game. I can't do 30 frames in multiplayer anymore. I just can't. You know, it feels sluggish. It feels like somehow I'm gonna lose because of the frames. I don't know if that's true, but like I'm playing Overwatch right now at 120 frames, and it just feels great. You know, I'm just wrecking bitches. I'm gonna upload the clip to Twitter. I've uploaded like 3 clips to Twitter during the show, by the way. Because I'm just wrecking people, and I'm telling you, alcohol genuinely makes you aim better. Someone needs to do a study about this. If there's any scientists listening, do a study about this. You know, I don't know how you would study this empirically. You need a lab, you need volunteers. If you need a volunteer who'll drink while playing Overwatch, I'm your guy. I'm your guy. I'll do that shit for free as long as you provide the alcohol. But point being that 30 frames, I don't think is that bad as long as the visual quality is being pushed. And I think like there are some games that are really pushing visual quality. You know, you play Requiem and stuff like that. And you have to remember that at the end of the day, we're not rocking RTX 4090 with these consoles. They're already out of date. That's just the world we live in with consoles. And I feel like people have forgotten, you know, consoles are always a little bit behind PC. They're always a little bit behind the PC architecture, and that's no different. There's no difference to right now. You know, even the graphics cards that were out when the Xbox Series X launched, they weren't really doing 4K at 120 hertz. You know, even the top of the line, you know, they weren't really doing that. They're doing 4K 60 at most, I would say. So like already after a couple of years, we're already seeing these consoles sort of hit their limits. That being said, there's sort of hope that maybe dev tools will improve the situation. God, I'm so good at Overwatch. I'm so damn good at this game, man.
Are you really? You know,
I'm so damn good at this game.
I gotta give a shout out. He's finally here. Paris is here, ready to binge. You missed it, Paris. You were a topic earlier in the show where I talked about how you lost with Netflix now doing binging forever. And I was just like, poor Paris. How's he ever going to consume any Netflix content? They don't release stuff week to week. Rand wins. Rand's right. Paris is wrong. Everything's right with the world. So shout out to Paris for being here. You can binge. You can binge all this content, Paris, or you can watch it weekly. Whatever way you want to do. Options are a great thing, my friend. They certainly are. I just don't like it when Disney Plus and these other places don't give you those options. They're like, you will watch this 1 week and have to wait. I don't like that. Give me all the options. If I want to watch it week to week, give me all the episodes at once, and I can do that myself. But yeah, we were just talking about the Series S holding the entire gen back in 30 frames. I'm just disappointed that 30 frames might come back. Although I don't know if 2 games is really much of a sample size. We'll have to see what next year brings when more like next gen only games come out. Did you see Callisto Protocol did come out and say we got a 60 frames mode?
I thought that was pretty bitchy.
It was pretty cheeky. But wait a minute. How does Callisto Protocol, a next gen only game, have a 60 frame modes on Series S too? But I didn't think that was possible. It was just holding back Gotham Knights and Plague's Tale.
Yeah. The thing about Gotham Knights is like, it's the kind of game that it is at the end of the day. They wanted to have untethered co-op. That was the design goal that they made, right? So if you have untethered co-op, there's extra load on the CPU because it sort of has to track the camera of 2 different players. Like even if they're on the completely opposite ends of the map, right? If you're having untethered co-op. But if you're having tethered co-op like State of Decay 2 or Halo Infinite when it eventually does get co-op, it's because like they've made the decision that we want to maintain 60 frames. We want to have 60 frames, which means we don't want the CPU load to be offloaded on having people separated across the whole map, right? So there's trade-offs. There's always going to be trade-offs with these games, and every generation there's a new kind of trade-off, And for this gen, the trade-off is like hardcore 4K visuals with ray tracing, or 60 frames per second. Now, more and more games are giving us the option to choose between both, but I think in the case of Gotham Knights, to its defense, a lot of that CPU overhead is going towards handling the untethered co-op, which is not something you can limit by turning off grass or reducing the draw distance and stuff like that. If you're doing untethered co-op, and you want with a local host, the local host that CPU needs to go towards the co-op features, right? But when it comes to a single player game, it's all different. It's all about trade-offs, And I think a lot of the time people with an agenda, and they want to punish Xbox. They don't like the fact that Xbox broke the rules and had like 2 different SKUs. And they want to punish Xbox, and they want to, troll Xbox and say this was a mistake, and this is why. Here's the evidence: 1 game out of 10 that maybe has a performance deficit on the Xbox Series S. But I think that's completely unfair because they're just saying, fuck consumers at the end of the day. Not everyone can afford a PlayStation 5. Not everyone can afford an Xbox Series X. Not everyone can afford a gaming PC that can do all this shit without any compromises. So the fact that they attack the Series S, but they say fuck all about the Nintendo Switch. They don't say a damn word about Nintendo. Nintendo is never in the conversation because Nintendo can do no wrong. Always Xbox. Xbox is always the one that does all the wrong. Xbox is the bad guy. Xbox is the one making all the mean decisions because fuck Microsoft, right? No one ever talks about a Nintendo Switch running things at 50 frames per second. Because, Nintendo can do no wrong. Because Nintendo is the console that made us feel happy when we were little children. They've got that nostalgia.
Be careful what you say about Nintendo, Jez.
Yeah, I know, right? But it's all fun and games.
You might get jumped. Shout out to Space Channel 5 in the super chat. She says, late to the chat this week. Still have a bottle of vodka, and KSP2 is incoming. LMN Appeal says Series X should have the overhead at least to do 60 FPS even with the tethered co-op experience. No? Well, I mean, I guess it can barely even do 30 frames, so I guess the answer to that question is no. Because in the open world, I don't know if you saw some of the Digital Foundry stuff. It's struggling to even hold 25. So 60,
What
yeah, it
game is
doesn't.
it?
Gotham Knights.
Is that on the Series S?
No, all the systems cannot even. All the systems do not have a lock 30. Like in the open world, it's basically running really like if you're flying around or driving around, it's basically like 23 frames. I guess it's like locked it when you're indoors and stuff, but like when you're outside, it's not good. So the fact that it can't even hold 30 probably means they couldn't get that game running at 60 for whatever reason. James Moore says many devs rely on Unity and Unreal, which abstracts the hardware. They aren't making use of the architecture and are relying too much on abstraction, says James Moore. Thank you for the super chats. So yeah, there's the whole Xbox Series S stuff, which I thought we were done with that stuff when we talked about it. Like,
it's really annoying, right? Because at the end of the day, none of us are devs, or very few of us are devs. Like the people, there's some devs in chat, and shout out to you guys for trying to set the record straight. But people always like, oh, journalists don't know shit about game dev, and it's like, yeah, because if I was a game dev, I'd be making some fucking money. I wouldn't be writing about games; I'd be making them. But unfortunately, I'm too fucking stupid to be a game dev. So unfortunately, I have to write about games instead of actually making games. And so a lot of this stuff would be better if there was a bit more transparency and a bit more honesty about the situation, the scenarios, what would lead a dev to make a game at 30 frames per second, what they would choose to make it at 60 frames per second, because every game is different, every engine is different, every design goal is different, and all that kind of stuff. And the lack of transparency is why a lot of people are making assumptions, but the lack of transparency is also like why some people can obfuscate the truth and set narratives. If you're someone who wants to punish Xbox for whatever reason, then you can sort of paint the Xbox Series S as this mean, nasty thing, even though I think it's a really pro-consumer device that helps people who have less money access 60 frames per second when they wouldn't necessarily be able to, in other situations. So, it's irritating. The whole discourse around the Series S and why it's still controversial, I have no idea. If Sony had done it, it would have been genius, I have to say. And like I said earlier, no one complains about Nintendo Switch. No one complains about it because it sells like hotcakes. Because at the end of the day, people just want fun games.
Yeah, Space Channel 5 says Sega does what Nintendo don't. So, yeah, the whole Series S stuff. But moving on from that, we got to talk about your article, Jez. You wrote an article.
Great article.
Your article
great
you
article.
wrote this week. It got
Genius
shared greatly.
article.
People were talking about it, about how Sony may rue the day they got involved into this Activision deal. Jim Ryan really might be crying in the future, is basically what Jez is saying in this article. So your argument was essentially, you know what? Deal gets blocked. You might have a baller Jim, or might have a baller Satya and Phil Spencer come out there and be like, all right, well, since you wouldn't let us buy Activision Blizzard for 70 bills, we're just not going to spend that money on third-party content, timed exclusivity, because the regulators are telling us this is the correct way to do business. That Sony's way of doing business is the right way. So even though when we tried doing it with Rise of the Tomb Raider and we were destroyed by the gaming media and fans alike for that, even though I didn't really see any backlash to Silent Hill 2 this week at all, or Final Fantasy 16 or what have you, that Microsoft should start doing the same. Like, oh, okay, well, if we can't own Call of Duty, how about we just pay Activision Blizzard? How about we make Call of Duty a timed exclusive to Xbox? Oh, Capcom, I'm sure you would like some billions of dollars. How about we, all Capcom games are timed exclusive, or whatever you said in your article. So go into more depth, Jez.
Yeah, my article was basically hinging on the idea that if regulators are telling Microsoft how they can and can't do business, if regulators are saying you can't just buy studios, Microsoft, you have to do what Sony's doing. Like what Sony's doing is okay. What Tencent is doing okay when Tencent's buying like majority stakes in different companies and dictating to those different studios, what kind of direction those games make, regulators will be saying like what Sony does is okay, what Tencent does is okay, and what Nintendo does is okay because Nintendo does tons exclusive as well. That's regulators saying like this is how the console industry should be run. And my viewpoint was, well, if they put Microsoft in that position, it's not going to be fun times for Sony because Microsoft can and will outbid Sony in that situation because they have more money, frankly speaking. Now, this is it's a very speculative argument, of course, because at the end of the day, it's not as cost effective for Microsoft to do this because they don't have such as big as a platform as Sony. What they would need to pay out is higher than Sony, and what they would make in return is less than Sony. So, this is sort of like a very speculative thing, and it would be an investment for Microsoft because it wouldn't necessarily pay off up front. But I don't see how they would have any choice, Rand. If regulators are telling them they're not allowed to buy anyone, what choice do they have at the end of the day? And if it does get that way, if we do end up in a situation where Microsoft feels like, well, okay, we can't buy anyone, so let's start money hatting everything because the current regulatory climate is that big tech is bad, big tech bad, Google bad, Facebook bad, Microsoft bad. What are you to do? What are you to do if you're Microsoft? What are you to do if you're big tech, right? You do what Tencent's doing. Now, Tencent doesn't buy studios outright because they know regulators are skeptical of Tencent in general because they're a Chinese company. And any Chinese companies facing increased scrutiny right now. I saw, for example, this week, there was an article where TikTok was called out for tracking US citizens, right? So, there's all this sort of intense scrutiny about Chinese companies. Huawei's banned in America pretty much, or heavily restricted, and TikTok is subject to restrictions and all that kind of stuff. So what Tencent's been doing to fly under the radar is taking these like stakes in companies instead. Microsoft could do that. Microsoft could take loads of stakes in companies instead. Just be like, okay, well, if we can't buy the companies, let's take stakes in the companies, and that means we get preferential treatment on things like marketing deals, on time DLC, and all that kind of crap. So that's what my argument was about. Is kind of like if regulators are telling Microsoft how they can and can't do business, and they're essentially endorsing how Sony does business. I was like, in that kind of world, Microsoft would win. So it's kind of like, well, if Sony doesn't let Microsoft play by the rules they want to play by, then they'll have to play by Sony's rules, which is money hat everything. Who has more money? Microsoft does. So in a world where money hatting is the business model, doesn't Microsoft win? That was my argument.
You see, I know this gets brought up a lot. You aren't the first person to talk like this. I definitely see it in some of the Discords I'm in and some of the forums that I do frequent. This idea that, like, hypothetically, if the CMA says no to the deal and like Xbox has to give up on it, or let's say FTC and EU block it as well, and Microsoft loses in court or what have you, and they just have to give up on the Activision deal, that Phil and Satya would engage in what would be described as like petty revenge money hats, where it's like, oh, okay, well, we couldn't get this, so we're now just going to make Call of Duty times exclusive because you're telling us that's the right way to do it, and nobody could block it because that's just two fair businesses working together to get transactions, right? But I'm kind of with OBM in the chat where he says money hats don't feed in the entire ecosystem, and in my opinion, right? I mean, you present a strong argument, like maybe all this stuff just really pisses Phil off, really pisses Satya off. Right?
It's purely speculative. I'm not saying.
I know it's purely speculative, right?
It was just a fun article I wanted to write.
Right, and yeah, it's just purely speculative. Possibly could happen. I mean, the deal could go through, and none of it will happen anyways. But like, oh, Phil gets really pissed off. Satya gets really pissed off. They have all this money that was earmarked for Xbox, and it's like, all right, well, since PlayStation was trying to cripple us in the lead up of this generation, with timed exclusivities, right? Like look what they're like. They basically got Final Fantasy and all that stuff exclusive, right? They even went to delve into like nostalgic stuff and timed exclusive Knights of the Old Republic, timed exclusive Silent Hill 2, right? Not to mention, there's probably even other deals that we don't even know about. Stuff like that, where it's like, all right, well, now Xbox has all this money. Like, let's go out there and just make it really hard for PlayStation fans. And we know that PlayStation fans don't like it because they bitched about Rise of the Tomb Raider. But when the shoe's on the other foot, nobody calls it out. Like the media doesn't call out Silent Hill 2, right? And the idea is, well, because Silent Hill has strong history with PlayStation, and it started there, which is true. Silent Hill 1 was a PlayStation 1 exclusive, but this isn't Silent Hill 1 you're remaking. It's Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 was a 3-month PlayStation 2 exclusive. It came out in September on PlayStation 2 and came out in December on Xbox the same year. Like, not exactly.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, not exactly the best argument. Like, sure, yeah, Silent Hill has, a history with PlayStation, but that's like Silent Hill 1, not 2. So, like, yeah, I mean, okay. Phil goes out there being like, well, I want these Capcom games. I want these Sega games. I want the money, this, and that, and the other. I feel, and in my opinion, not saying that you're wrong, because this is all speculative anyways, that I think they would just go on to their next targets. Oh, okay, well, you want us to have Call of Duty and Activision? Well, we're going to go after our target number 2, which was Capcom or some of the smaller ones, because, and you would say, well, wouldn't those get blocked too? It's like, I see, not necessarily. I don't think so, because there's a big difference between Activision Blizzard and Call of Duty versus a smaller company like, a Capcom or a Sega, where, you don't have that Call of Duty albatross hanging around your neck that Sony's fighting for, because nope, they didn't really say anything about Bethesda. That went through no problem. I think they would just go down the road of like, all right, well, what's our next strategic objective? Maybe they make more deals for Game Pass, where it's like, all right, well, let's fund more games for Game Pass, rather than, all right, let's go and just get all these third-party games that, were multi-platform and just make them exclusive to Xbox for a year. I don't know. That's just I know you have the one side, I have the other side. I still think the deal's going through anyways. So, but yeah. So, Raphael says, Jeff Grubb said that the Resident Evil Silent Hill events were paid by PlayStation to avoid the exclusive backlash. Well, I mean, but there was nothing exclusive about the Resident Evil event, though. Was there? I don't think there was. Resident Evil 4 is coming to everything. There wasn't anything that was announced exclusive. There's this thought process that because there was a new Final Fantasy trailer that came out, Silent Hill 2 was revealed, and the Resident Evil stuff, that there was supposed to be a PlayStation showcase this week. And they canceled it because of the ABK deal. Because we know Sony looks like the biggest hypocrites in the world when it comes to complaining about exclusivity regarding Activision Blizzard and how they basically built their entire empire, right? And I guess maybe they felt it would strengthen Microsoft's argument if they were to have a showcase with a bunch of third-party multiplats that are now exclusive. Do you believe that happened, Jez? That there was some showcase that was supposed to happen, but because they didn't want to give any Microsoft any ammunition, they canceled it, and that's why you have an individual Silent Hill showcase, an individual Resident Evil 1, and a new trailer for Final Fantasy 16?
It's certainly possible. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Sony, because at the end of the day, Sony's ruthless, And, people, I got a lot of criticism this week from fanboys and shit, and they were like, oh my God, you just hate PlayStation. But I don't. I respect their brutal, ruthless business candor, because that is ultimately what it is. It's business, and they are fighting really hard for their customers. I like that. I love that, actually. So I would like to see, Xbox do that too. And that's what they did in the 360 era. And that's when I got into Xbox. I never got into Xbox back in the day. I was like, I came into Xbox when, the 360 was a thing. And Microsoft was far more aggressive back then, for better or worse, So I don't blame Sony one bit for fighting their corner, because at the end of the day, it's PlayStation basically their entire business. So I don't blame them whatsoever. I don't begrudge them for doing what they do, but at the same time, it's like, why can't I call out the hypocrisy? Because it is hypocrisy. They're out here crying to the CMA that Microsoft might take their business deals away with PlayStation, but at the same time, it's like they're literally making life hard for Xbox fans at the end of the day. And it's not, the regulators are here to protect consumers. They're not here to protect Sony. So a lot of my criticism hinges on, what are regulators doing to protect consumers, all consumers, not just PlayStation consumers, but also Xbox consumers at the end of the day. And there's evidence to suggest that they don't really care about Xbox consumers as much, and I think some of the bias there is because Microsoft is Microsoft at the end of the day. Microsoft's always fighting this uphill battle, and they should be. Microsoft's a privileged company. They enjoy market leadership positions in various verticals, and they should be scrutinized. No one's suggesting they shouldn't be scrutinized. They should be scrutinized, and they should be subject to more scrutiny than other companies, because they have a market position in various different aspects of their business. Their Windows is dominant.
You're botting, by the way.
Great. I don't know what I can do about that. Am I still botting?
Yeah. I'll just talk about the Silent Hill stuff, because they held the event and they announced a whole bunch of games. But the big one is the Silent Hill 2 remake, which been rumored forever, with Bloober Team as the one involved. It's exclusive to PlayStation for at least 12 months. They also announced Silent Hill F, which is set in 1960s Japan, made by the developers of Reverse. They also announced a Annapurna Silent Hill game called Silent Hill Townfall from No Code Studios, who made Stories Untold and Observation, and also some Let's Play sort of Twitch thing, Silent Hill Ascension. So I'm of the opinion, and I don't know, maybe when Jez gets back, he can either agree or disagree with me. Or
can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good now.
All right.
I think Silent Hill.
It's been raining.
I think Silent Hill 2 is one of the greatest games ever made. Probably one of the greatest horror games ever done. Right? I love Silent Hill 2. And the remakes recently have been really good. Like Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 were great remakes. Resident Evil 4, they showed it off this week. More gameplay, looks phenomenal, right? Dead Space remake looks fantastic. People love the Demon's Souls remake that they did at the launch of the PlayStation 5. So there's a lot of this remaking going on. And people are always like, well, what about Silent Hill 2? So now they're doing Silent Hill 2, and it looks very good. Although I guess I will agree that the face of the protagonist isn't exactly. I was like, oh, what happened to your face? But the problems I think people have, or some people have with it, is who's making it, Bloober Team, and that is really the issue I have too, because I'm not the biggest fan of Bloober Team. I thought Layers of Fear was awful. Observer was really good, and then Medium was kind of mediocre. So
it was medium.
It was medium. So it's like, all right, but this is the game that I guess they've always wanted to do, or that inspired them. So maybe they pull out all the stops. It doesn't matter. I'm playing it day one. You feel a certain way about Silent Hill 2, Jez? Is this?
Yeah, I've told the story before. I had Silent Hill 2 for Christmas. It was my Christmas gift that year, and I'd been really sick. I had Okay, I need to tell a story.
Okay, you tell.
I was an edgy kid. I was like a goth, and
Edgy.
I was edgy. I was a skater and a goth, and I used to do edgy stuff all the time. And one of the things, what I did was I probably discovered COVID-19. I think because I was in town and I drank out of a fountain where there was loads of pigeons and other birds and all. It was filthy water, and I drank the water from this fountain to show off to my friends. And dude, it made me so ill. I was like, I've never been that ill in my life. I lost my sense of smell for a year. I was so ill. But just as I was getting better, I got Silent Hill for Christmas, and it was kind of like, it took the edge off. It took the edge off being super ill, and I will never forget that because I was like, I'd come out of being really ill, and then I got Silent Hill 2, and it was just incredible. Too scared to play it with the music on. So I played it listening to, all those sort of early 2000s rock albums like Slipknot and stuff like that. So even to this day, when I listen to like Slipknot's first album, it reminds me of Silent Hill 2 to this day, which is kind of fun. But it's a special game to me. It's a special game to me, and it's a special game to a lot of people of this age. Was I surprised when it was announced as exclusive? No. I think like that was a rumor for a while, and at least it's coming to PC, so I'll probably review that version of it. But Silent Hill 2 is amazing. It's an amazing game. But I want to know, dude, why do they always focus on Silent Hill 2? Why is there no Silent Hill 1 remake? Why is Silent Hill 1 such chopped liver? Is there some kind of licensing issue with Silent Hill 1? Because the collection, the remake collection, the terrible remaster collection, that didn't have Silent Hill 1 in it either.
No, it didn't.
What's
It
the
was
deal with
just
Silent Hill 1?
it was just Silent Hill 2 and 3, I believe.
Yeah, what's the deal with Silent Hill 1?
I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I mean, maybe it's because Silent Hill 2 is more beloved. I definitely understand why Sony money hatted this, because you look at like the deals that they make. They clearly wanted to like make an appeal to gamers' nostalgia, right? You got Knights of the Old Republic. That's an Xbox game. I'm sure Sony's like, haha, like we just got like the remake of a Xbox exclusive that's gonna burn, right? Well, who knows how that's gonna turn out? We won't find out for a while, because apparently the version that they presented to Sony and Disney they hated, and they had to switch developers, right? So okay, now we're gonna money hat Final Fantasy VII because they're remaking that, and that is very very much associated with the PlayStation brand, and it's something people have been asking for a while. It feeds right into that nostalgic factor. Makes sense. Then you do it with all the other Final Fantasy games. It's like, what other game from that era can you actually do? Well, Konami really doesn't make games anymore, but now they want to.
Dude, how dare you?
What?
Are you not a fan of eFootball?
Is anybody a fan of that? Is anybody really a fan of that?
No.
So it's like, because I haven't seen any information that says Silent Hill F is a PlayStation exclusive, but it doesn't make sense to me that it would be, because I don't. Let's face it. There's a trend with modern Silent Hill games ever since 3 that Silent Hill Homecoming and Silent Hill Downpour, that they haven't been very good. So if you're PlayStation, would you want to, money hat a brand new Silent Hill which has a track record of not being good, or would you rather money hat people's nostalgia of a remake of the fan favorite Silent Hill 2? So it makes sense to me that they pick Silent Hill 2, and that like Silent Hill F will probably be multi-platform because it's a new Silent Hill game. I'm interested.
And if that game sucks, the headlines are going to be F's in the chat.
Yeah.
Like
well, I mean, it's from the devs of Reverse, which I did get a release date for next year. Silent Hill Townfall looks interesting. Because I really did like Observation, and Annapurna releases some cool games, so I'm interested in that. But
Observation?
Yeah, No Code Studios. They did Observation and Stories Untold.
I haven't played those. I thought you meant Observer.
No,
That was
not
Blue.
Observer. Not Observer. Observer is Medium, who's are making Silent Hill 2 remake.
Yeah.
And then Capcom had a Resident Evil showcase where they showed off the new DLC that's coming next week.
Amazing.
And then Resident Evil 4, which looks incredible, which also is on the PlayStation 4. So are they going to be complaining about the Series S holding everything back when they're literally also putting it on the potato of the PS4? Still looks incredible.
Yeah.
But we also even got more PlayStation stuff because it came out as part of Microsoft's huge ass response that Sony's blocking Call of Duty from being in an Xbox Game Pass. So it says in it, a footnote references a tweet from Phil Spencer alluding to, quote, prior agreements between Activision and Sony, which would prohibit Microsoft from adding Call of Duty to Game Pass, even in the event of an acquisition being approved. Quote, the agreement between Activision Blizzard and Sony includes restrictions on the ability of Activision Blizzard to place Call of Duty titles on Game Pass for a number of years. That kind of goes into your whole idea of Sony being ruthless, right?
Sony's ruthless. And I love it.
I mean,
I love it.
Makes sense to me because Sony's very worried about Game Pass. They don't want it to catch on. They don't want it to become the predominant thing because that means they would have to change their business model. And, if I'm paying you millions of dollars for a marketing agreement, I wouldn't want those games to show up in my competitor's subscription service. It's like I get the logistical reasons behind it, but also presents this idea to the regulators, or at least should present this idea to regulators, that really Sony's scared of competition. And look at all these things that they're doing that can be construed as anti-competitive. They're using their market leader position to get these sort of sweetheart deals and sweetheart clauses into these things about, hey,
they're trying to stop consumers getting a better deal with Game Pass.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true, yeah.
If the regulator's job is to get prices down so consumers can get better value, where are they? They're asleep at the bloody wheel.
Asleep at the wheel.
Asleep at the wheel.
Asleep at the freaking wheel. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by any of this because we did have discussions before about what if the deal had went through. Like, hypothetically, the deal goes through. Could Modern Warfare 2 be on Game Pass? And I was like, no, it's probably a similar deal to Deathloop where it would have to be a year. But maybe it's even different from that. Maybe it's just like all the Call of Duties, or at least the newer ones that are part of this marketing arrangement, because I think they do it in like 4-year blocks or maybe 3-year blocks, they can't be in Game Pass until that marketing arrangement's over, which we know is over with 2024's release of whatever Treyarch's Call of Duty Black Ops 15. So maybe the newer Call of Duties could be added to Game Pass in 2025, and then you could do day one then. I know Phil mentioned in his blog that he wants to put Call of Duty games on Game Pass, but he didn't mention day one. And he didn't even say when the deal's complete. They probably can put in the older ones that really aren't part of this deal. But something tells me like Modern Warfare 2, Vanguard, and like Black Ops Cold War and Treyarch's next one wouldn't be able to actually go into it until that marketing deal is complete.
I just want World at War in Game Pass, man.
World at War? You mean like the 360 one?
The best Call of Duty.
The ones that people have been asking them Treyarch to remake. People have been like, "Hey, you should do World at War." That's the one with Kiefer Sutherland as the voice of the main character, right?
World at War is the
back
best
when Veteran actually meant something. When you played a game on Call of Duty on Veteran, it was impossible. I don't know if anybody's played those early Call of Duties, like 2 or 4 or World at War, where like literally enemies would just chuck grenades at you, and like there literally be like 5 grenades at your feet.
Man, that's where it's like your multiplayer.
Veteran's a little bit easier now, although with this one it's like you got to clear all these rooms, and like it's like trial and error because you don't know where the enemies are, and they just pop out and shot you once and you're dead. It's like, ugh. Now granted, if you're playing on a lower difficulty, you survive, but like on Veteran it's like, oh, all right, now I know where you're at, let me kill you. So, yeah, PlayStation doing everything they can to make sure Game Pass doesn't get any bigger.
I don't blame them. I mean,
I don't blame them either.
I don't have any animosity towards PlayStation. Like, I respect them for being so aggressive about this shit. But
Because you want
you know,
Microsoft to be as aggressive in response? Because you think it brings out
yes,
the aggressiveness in Microsoft?
yes, because ultimately, when companies compete, the consumer gets a better deal, and that's the whole premise of capitalism. You know, when you get like you get monopolies like Comcast owning all the broadband in a county in America, you don't get any competition. That's why the prices are terrible. That's why the service is terrible. But the gaming industry is not like that. We've got Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, and Steam, and all these other platforms competing in a healthy kind of way, which should drive prices down, which should, lead to innovation, which should lead to all kinds of stuff where companies are trying to come up with new ways to improve their platforms to win our money. And that's the way it should be. But unfortunately, because of, Sony's got such a dominant market position, they can increase the price of their console without losing any market share, which is not the way it should be, which is why Microsoft should be afforded the ability to buy Activision and create competition, create an alternative option, with Game Pass, which is cheaper, which is better value and stuff like that. But regulators don't seem to want to let them, which to me signals a dereliction of duty. But I don't know. I don't know.
Plus, it takes two to tango. Activision could have been like, all right, well, we agree to this, but leave out the Game Pass clause, but they accepted it, so it's not like Sony could force their hand and be like, you have to sign this deal. Although I guess on the flip side, it's like, well, Microsoft's buying these companies and nobody's forcing Activision to sell. But yeah, people are up in arms about it. So, yeah. Rufflemut in the Super Chat says, Series S gets more titles than the Switch. Why you complain? Yeah, Jez, why are you complaining about the Switch, bro? What's up? When you're Nintendo hate today,
I'm just doing it for Rand, because we all know Rand hates Nintendo. Rand's the real Nintendo hater, not me.
I'm the
It's
real
not me.
Nintendo hater.
Yeah, I love Pokemon. I'm a Pokemon guy. at
You
the
are a
end of the day.
Pokemon guy. Thank God I never got to play another Pokemon in my life. One of the worst games I've ever played. And I say that as somebody who's played some actual shit games and actually knows what games are like this. Played games on the scale of 1 to 10. Like, when you look on IGN, most of all the reviews are 6s, 7s. Between that, it's like, oh, this game's a 7. Of course it's a 7 IGN, because whatever. Like, I've actually played actual garbage for achievements. So I actually know what real bad games are that could actually score 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s. You know what I mean?
Name one. Name a terrible game that's a 1 out of 10.
A terrible game. Crypt of the Skeleton King, or whatever the fuck it's called on Xbox. There's a lot of bad games. There's a lot of bad games. The Andrew 13 says, 2 questions. One, if only the CMA blocks, couldn't Xbox pull out of the UK? I mean, they could, but like, why? I don't think see Xbox pulling out of the UK. Like, that's their second largest market. They're less than 20% of the market. If blocked, why wouldn't Microsoft just pull MC Bethesda from PlayStation? If blocked, why wouldn't Microsoft pull Minecraft and Bethesda from PlayStation? I mean, they've sort of already pulled Bethesda from PlayStation. It's not like you're going to see any future Bethesda games go to PlayStation. As for Minecraft, you mean in like a retaliatory thing? I mean, that'd be hurting Minecraft and the players who play Minecraft. I don't think they'd do that. That's hurting the revenue of Minecraft. And who do you think's paying for all the Xbox Game Studio games? It's Minecraft. Right?
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if like more people play Minecraft on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch than they play on Xbox, simply based off of like user base sizes, right?
Definitely PlayStation, at least. But honestly, I would if I was Microsoft, I wouldn't be releasing Minecraft Dungeons or Minecraft Legends on PlayStation or Nintendo Switch. I wouldn't. I'd keep the mainline game there, but I would be ruthless, because Sony wouldn't be doing that. Sony wouldn't be doing that shit. If there's ever a Destiny spin-off or something, I don't know. Say there's like a Destiny Diablo clone or something like that. That ain't gonna be on Xbox.
I mean,
In a
they
million
said,
years, that's not gonna be on
Bungie
Xbox.
did come out and say that they're multi-platform. I mean, Jeff Grubb even dropped some marathon game info. Like Jeff had all this stuff about the new marathon game from Bungie. I don't know if that game's coming to
I got a
Xbox, but
theory.
you know, you never
I
know.
got a
It
theory.
might.
Man.
What?
I got a theory that when Notch negotiated the deal for Minecraft, I think like Notch was like, Minecraft has to always be everywhere. Part of me thinks that, you know,
Maybe.
that
Although
Notch negotiated that deal.
something I don't know. Something tells me I don't think Notch would give a flying shit about that. But that's just me.
Well, Notch is a billionaire.
Maybe
Notch is a billionaire.
Minecraft has sort of some independence from Xbox, where like they can sort of put the games wherever they want, right?
I'm really curious, Rand, about Minecraft's super duper graphics pack. Part of me wonders if the parry clause for PlayStation is the reason we don't get a super duper graphics pack.
Because
my conspiracy theory is like Microsoft's like, we don't want to make a super duper graphics pack for PlayStation. We just want to make it for Xbox, but we're not allowed to because of contractual obligation. Because I have no idea why in current year 2022, Microsoft's flagship fucking IP, we don't have an Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X version of Minecraft. To me, that's insane. Unless there's some kind of contractual, apocryphal sort of nuance there. Why do we not have a super duper graphics pack for Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X? It's insane to me. I don't get it. There's got to be some kind of conspiracy here, Rand.
We need to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, I do. So anyone from Xbox
ZX, I know he's in chat. He works at Minecraft. Tell us, leak us, tell us everything.
He'd never do it. He'd never do it. But someone else might.
Yeah. Meat Puppet says, in my opinion, Sony better hope Activision deal goes through, because if not, Microsoft will have lots of time and money to get back at Sony. Real on console war going on between Xbox, PlayStation, and the CMA right now. I never thought we'd end up in this situation, but I don't know about you, but I am kind of over talking. I talked about it yesterday, or was it yesterday in my video? Oh, yesterday in my video about the Call of Duty thing, but unless there's like new information that comes out, or like Phil and Jim are fighting each other, like I'm kind of like sort of just, I'm at my point now where it's like I don't really want to hear about this anymore. Right, it's just kind of just like let it be over with. You know, like the drama was fueling me for a bit. And
that shit.
No,
you changed tack.
The what?
You love that shit. Well, you changed tactics. You loved that shit the other day.
I did, but now it's like every week. But it's just the same information that we already know. It's just regurgitated again. Like it was cool, at least to me, when you had Jim and Phil talking shit back and forth. And when you first find out about some of this stuff, but now it's like the same things, and it's just like, all right, well, like let's just move on. I don't want to hear any, you know, it's like, at least it lit a fire under me to make more videos, because now I've been making more videos, so at least there's that. And we are supposed to find out about like the EU and like the FTC sometime soon, so
I'm so tired of it, man.
I know you are.
Like I said earlier, like it makes me nervous because
you care about Blizzard. And you want Blizzard to be saved, and I don't really care.
About Blizzard. I only care about Blizzard. You know, Blizzard is life to me. Blizzard at its worst is still better than all of the devs. You know, World of Warcraft at its worst is still better than any other MMO. Overwatch at its worst is still better than any other shooter. Mm-hmm. There's something about Blizzard. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's nostalgia, but Blizzard's like Nintendo to me. It's just like, I can't quit Blizzard games. And at the end of the day, Bobby Kotick is screwing Blizzard. You know, I can't get the best out of Blizzard while they are run by Bobby Kotick and Activision Blizzard shareholder culture. This is the only out for Blizzard fans, you know, and when it comes to Blizzard fan base and the Blizzard community, most people are positive about Microsoft buying them because they know this means we get rid of Kotick, we get rid of Blizzard's shareholder culture, we get rid of Activision's shareholder culture, and we get rid of Activision's executive leadership board. You know, so this is that's my skin in the game. I don't care about how it will benefit Microsoft or Xbox. I care about how it will benefit Blizzard and Blizzard fans. That's my bias. I'm completely open and honest about that bias. World of Warcraft, Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft, and all the other Blizzard games that I feel could be better if they were part of Microsoft.
Yeah.
But and if regulators stop that from happening, I will be very sad.
Space Channel 5, she says, imagine you're on a 14-hour flight to Tokyo and all you have to play is the 3DS, Vita, and Switch. What would you play? I'd read a book. I would read a book because there's nothing worth playing on those three systems. Yeah, I said it.
I would play Persona on the Vita, or I'd play Peace Walker. I got a Vita at home.
I mean, I have a Switch, so I'd use the Switch. Maybe I play Legend of Zelda. No, I'd probably play Metroid Dread or something if I had to pick one because I don't have the other ones.
I need to finish that.
Yeah. So, you know what? Let's take some questions. If you guys have anything you want to say, make sure you put your questions at me so I see it.
We got some Patreon.
I know. I guess to the Patreon questions first. But thank you guys for being here.
Dude, we're finishing the podcast so early.
No, we still got questions to go through. That's probably going to take another half an hour. Right?
It feels like we've only been podcasting for 5 minutes.
We've been podcasting for 3 hours. We still have questions to go through, and who knows what else. But thank you guys for being here. I know some people always do bounce when we do questions, so we'll be back next week, October 28th, with another show. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you're listening to this on iTunes and Spotify and all those places, make sure you leave us a review. Check out the Patreon in the description, or patreon.com/XB2, where you can leave us questions, which we'll answer on the show. You can get access to the exclusive live podcast we do like every other Tuesday, the Xbox Ultimate. You get vote on gameplay, you get shout-outs, sponsors, all this cool stuff. Make sure you check it out. So we got one from Achievement who says, if the ABK deal falls through, could Microsoft try to bid to buy Blizzard and King? It would give Activision the capital it needs to readjust independently, and Microsoft increases their PC and mobile presence. Huh. That's interesting. What if that happened, Jez? So instead of buying Activision, Blizzard, they just get Blizzard and King.
I would be completely happy with that.
Yeah, I know you would be. You totally would be 100% for that.
One of the things that I want with Activision is Prototype. I think Prototype would give Microsoft the superhero game they don't have right now. And also Guitar Hero. I love Guitar Hero. Bring Guitar Hero back. They could do Guitar Hero, they could do it for VR, have a foot in the door in VR if that ever takes off. So there's like things that we lose if they don't get Activision. But Blizzard and King would be enough. And one thing we didn't talk about on the show was the rumor that Microsoft's going to make a mobile game store.
Like mobile game store, yeah.
So this came out this week. I can't remember which outlet reported this. I think it was The Verge. The Verge actually took the time to read all of the CMA documents.
Yeah, I have it here.
I would never do.
Tom Warren pointed it out. Basically, it was in Microsoft documents that the transaction will improve Microsoft's ability to create a next-generation game store, which operates across a range of devices, including mobile, as a result of the addition of Activision Blizzard's content. Building in Activision Blizzard's existing communities of gamers, Xbox will seek to scale the Xbox Store to mobile, attracting gamers to a new Xbox mobile platform. Shifting consumers away from the Google Play Store and App Store on mobile devices will, however, require a major shift in consumer behavior. And Microsoft hopes that by offering well-known and popular content, gamers will be more inclined to try something new. So,
yeah, it's
tall order.
It is. It's all. There's loads of different facets to this at the end of the day, and sort of going through each and every possibility is a complete nightmare. There's so many different ways this could go, and so many different ways that you know, it could go with regards to benefiting Sony, benefiting Microsoft, benefiting, you know, us as gamers. But I've completely lost my train of thought. Rand, help me.
Mm.
Help me.
You're talking about them buying Blizzard and King from Activision.
Yeah. So we're talking about the rumored app store that Microsoft's
Oh
supposed
yeah,
to
the
be
rumored
working on.
App Store. That's right.
Yeah. So Microsoft's supposed to be working on a Google Play, an Android. Well, actually, that's just assumed. They're supposed to be working on some kind of app store, which will bring them, and I suppose, Android games, and you know, give them a foothold in mobile. And I suppose it makes complete sense when you actually like look at why they actually want these studios. And it's kind of like also during the amazing Fallout festivities, one of the things they announced was that they're starting to work on Fallout Shelter again, which is completely shocking, right? But it's not so shocking if you think they're actually trying to build up a mobile store. There's another company that has their own mobile store, and that's Samsung. And because one of the big problems with Android profitability is that Google requires that you install their software and their store, and they take all the money, you know, and that's why the Surface Duo is so expensive. Microsoft's Android phone so expensive because Microsoft doesn't make jack shit on it, you know, at the end of the day, because Google takes all that money. But if Microsoft had its own store, if Microsoft had its own game store with exclusive content, if Microsoft made Candy Crush Saga exclusive to their Android store, you can bet your ass, you know, they'd actually gain a foothold in that space, you know, which is, I think that's pretty cool and pretty awesome, because one thing Google desperately needs is some competition, because therein lies the virtues of what, Rand? Therein lies the what? The virtues
Virtues.
of capitalism.
Ah.
The virtues of capitalism is competition.
Mm.
And if we don't have competition, then capitalism fails. And right now, between Google and Apple, there's very little competition in the mobile space. But if Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard and they've got Fallout Shelter that's being updated, and they've got Candy Crush Saga, and they've got all these other games, blah blah blah, and Diablo Immortal, maybe they can make an app store that actually, you know, they could. This is what I would do. I would call it BattleNet Mobile. You know, BattleNet Mobile. Call it BattleNet Mobile, and it's like a store that is completely designed and revolves around mobile games that are integrated with Xbox. You know, and that would bring some serious competition to Google, and also give Microsoft an opportunity to actually sell some mobile devices, maybe, because presumably this store would be exclusive to, you know, Microsoft's mobile devices. But there's also rumors that Microsoft is part of a European Union challenge to get Apple to accept third-party stores on its platform, because, you know, they have a monopoly right now. And unlike Windows, which is also a monopoly, Windows lets you install any store you want, but iOS doesn't. Android does, but you still have to install Google Play by default. But iOS does not allow you to install third-party app store, which is anti-competitive in my view. But, you know, it's going to be Microsoft's trying to disrupt the market at the end of the day, and they're going to have some powerful allies. They're going to have Fortnite Mobile, because I presume that Fortnite will be exclusive to Microsoft Store as well, because it aligns with Tim Sweeney's vision of a Fortnite that's free of Apple and free of Google, right? So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that prospect, but the only way they can achieve that is if they actually manage to acquire King, which they may well not.
Mm.
So that's probably going to end up being some of their CMA arguments. Is like, we want to bring competition to Apple and Google, and if we buy King, then we can make Candy Crush a competitive alternative to what Apple and Google are doing with their storefronts, right? So, yeah. It's there's a lot of things. There's a lot of aspects to this deal. This makes it all very interesting beyond the PlayStation narratives that are being set out and being described.
Yeah. Well, Friggum says, "Are you guys playing Persona 5 tomorrow, or did you pre-order Call of Duty and playing the campaign early?" I bought Call of Duty because I like to play the campaign every year. Jez has been playing Persona 5 for like a month now, right? Something like that, like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I got like 25, 30 hours or something like that in the game. It's a big game.
Yeah,
It's a
it's a
very
big
beefy
game.
game.
I'm playing Call of Duty early. Andrew Courtney says, "Are we now reaching the end of 2022 drought of games for Xbox? I feel like the game drops will be ramping up now through June of next year, at the very least. And what games aside from AAA first party are you looking forward to the most?" Hopefully it's getting to the end. I know Obsidian just announced that Pentiment just went gold, and that's coming out. I think I just saw Josh Sawyer said that he just finished his third full playthrough and it clocked in at like 20 hours.
Oh wow, that's
Um,
pretty impressive.
yeah, a lot of the impressions have the game being solid. Like maybe after with Grounded and Pentiment coming out, and like with the like Obsidian might be up there number one for a lot of people, if especially if Avowed comes out soon and is like fantastic. Which AAA first party games are you looking forward to the most? Hellblade 2, by far and away number one for me. Starfield's up there as well. Perfect Dark is up there as well. Whatever, Indiana Jones, even though we haven't seen gameplay, I love whatever. Like anything like Bethesda makes. Like I'm a huge fan of Bethesda. Fable, although we haven't seen that. I mean, I'm really excited about the future of their first party. It's just a matter of when is their first party actually going to show up. Hopefully next year is the year. So
I'm the more I learn about State of Decay 3, the more excited I am. I really do think like one of the things that Microsoft's exploring, or one of the things they want to achieve with some of their acquisitions, like Compulsion, Undead Labs, is really getting them to that AAA sort of level, And I think we're gonna see that out of State of Decay 3.
that'd be great. That would be absolutely wonderful. We have one here from Xbox International, the podcast sponsors of the day. Do you guys see the specs for Silent Hill 2 on PC? I didn't. I haven't seen them. They seem a bit beefy, and I noticed that they highlight for higher fidelity. The game will run at 30 FPS. When will we see consoles start implementing FSR 2.0 to help with high performance and hopefully get more 60 FPS games? Are devs now making sure they disclose this ahead of time so we don't have a Gotham Knights 30 FPS controversy? Yeah, Gotham Knights, I think they knew that the 30 FPS thing was going to be a major problem, but the thing is they should have been upfront about that and said that was the case 2 months ago and gotten everybody's anger out of the way way before the game came out, and then focused on what the game does well. Instead, they kind of hit it, and then all of a sudden they announced it in a Discord, so it wasn't even like an official communication. Like they were sort of ashamed and they didn't want to tell anybody. And it's always better to get bad news out of the way well in advance so you can get people's anger out. So as far as FSR 2.0, I don't know. Xbox talks about all these features, are these RDNA 2 stuff that they waited for, like velocity architecture and all this other stuff, but I'm not even sure any game really even uses it yet. Granted, we're still in cross-gen. Maybe that's going to be different moving forward. I couldn't tell you. I'm not really a tech guy. But yeah, I'm a little disappointed in what seems to be maybe more people going to 30 frames because I've gotten so used to at least the performance mode. But yeah, I mean, Silent Hill 2 on PS5, probably with your 30 frames if they're going for higher fidelity. But I mean, I don't even know when that game's coming out. They didn't even give a release window or a date. It's not like it said 2023. So maybe that game's even further away than we think. I don't know. Mandingo says, Rand, you're an inspiration to lots of people. Best of luck with your weight loss journey. I hope you reach your goals. Jez, you're all right too. Thank you, Mandingo.
I really seriously need to get back on my weight loss. I actually did lose some weight this week.
Yeah.
I just stalled, man. I got down to, I was 415 pounds a couple of years ago. I got down to £320, and I'm sort of stalled at about £325. I need to get
You
back
know,
on
you
that
you
shit.
wanted me to do it with you, and now that I'm doing it, now you got
I'm
somebody you
not
could
doing
do it
it.
with. You know, like,
But this is what happened last time. You were losing weight and I was gaining weight, and then I lost weight and then you gained weight.
well, I stopped
this
doing
happened
it.
a couple this happened a couple of years ago. The
Yeah.
same shit, man.
Well, so for anybody, so the weight loss update, I've been on it for like 2 months, and I've officially lost like 41 pounds, or something like that, 40 pounds. So I feel a lot better. Um,
You're
and
a badass, man. I'm
we just
really
gotta keep
proud
on
of you.
going, bro. You know, we got a lot of weight to lose, and I'm not stopping until I get down to. Now I have situated into a bunch of goals that are obtainable, but you know, I want to like get down to like 250. You know, I want to get down to 250 at some point. I don't know if I can go down lower than that, but I definitely like end goal is like 250. I think that's what I did like when I lost all the weight the first time, because this is the second time. Like I lost 150 pounds before, and
I want to get down to
I got down to
250.
250,
250 would
and
be
then
nice.
I just kind of I gained it all back over time. But now it's like no, now we're gonna do it again, and this time we're gonna keep it off. You know, so. But I thank you guys for all the support. I do get a lot of messages about the journey and so to speak. So it's great to see, and yeah, I'm older now, so I need to make a change. Maybe it was a little bit, I did this like 10 years ago. It's like, oh, it was like 28 or whatever. And it's like now I'm like 41, and I'm like feeling it. Like wake up, you sleep wrong on your neck. You wake up and your neck hurts. It's like things take forever to heal that should have healed easier before, and it's not. It's like, all right, well, I'm at that age now where it's like I probably should. If I don't do this, then I'm probably end up going to die. Uh, sooner rather than later. So it's like I need to do something about this. So I decided to do something. You know. Silas says, when it comes to third-party marketing deals, timed exclusives, are the other platform holders aware of the deals before the public? And from a third-party perspective, do they ever shop a proposed marketing deal to another platform holder before signing a contract in order to see if they're able to secure more favorable terms? Yes. Because I definitely heard there was a bidding war for Knights of the Republic. And it really doesn't make a lot of sense to, to get the most money out of a deal, you need to have somebody who also wants it. Like Sony, trying to get Silent Hill 2, Konami's not going to get as much as they want unless there's also somebody else that wants it, right? So I do think they shop these things around to try to get the best deal, and I do think Xbox really hasn't been interested in doing those things, but PlayStation is, or at least has been. And I do think they're well aware of these the other platform holders are well aware of these deals before they're announced for the public. The industry is very close. So I do think that's the case. At least I haven't heard anything to the contrary. Have you, Jez?
Nope. Nothing to the contrary. It's a lot of this stuff about what Xbox will do. Like my article was pure speculation. It was pure speculation for fun. I wrote it when I was
Well,
bored.
he's not talking about that. He's talking about are the platform holders aware? Like, was Microsoft aware that Silent Hill 2 was going to be exclusive to PlayStation? And my answer to that is yeah, they were aware.
Yeah, of course they were. But that's what I mean. Is that like oh, never mind.
What do you mean never mind?
When Microsoft comes to the CMA and they start presenting their arguments, Microsoft's gonna they're gonna break NDAs. They're gonna be like, yeah, we knew this was exclusive, we knew that was exclusive, blah blah blah, because there's a lot on the line. There's a ton of stuff on the line. But Microsoft has intimate knowledge of Sony's business because they publish games on PlayStation. They publish Minecraft. They publish Minecraft Dungeons. They publish Minecraft Legends and a bunch of other stuff. So Microsoft has a sort of a privileged knowledge of PlayStation business model. So, a lot of that stuff they will bring to their arguments with the CMA and other regulators. So.
Hey, did you just see this weekend is a double XP weekend in Overwatch 2, Jez? Does that make you happy?
Yes, I did. Well, it kind of makes me happy, but I'm already ranked 60 in the battle pass.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Dude, I am I love this game.
I know you love this game. Well, we got one more Patreon question from Macazilla. Geez, a long one. Hey, Jez and Rand, apologies in advance for the essay. Now that we're a couple months removed from it, I was wondering what you guys thought of Xbox's presence at Gamescom this year. Most of the games featured were updates to games that we can already play or were deeper dives of games already shown at the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase. In fairness, this is something Aaron Greenberg usually warns us about to try to set reasonable expectations, but it seemed to me that after a near 5-hour show, the only game that really seemed to get any attention after it was Lies of P. You can make the argument from a mindshare point of view that Xbox having a big present at an enormous show like Gamescom could make it all worth it, especially when Sony is typically nowhere to be seen. But I just can't help but wonder if it's worth it all the time, and if it's worth all the time and money spent being there when it seemed like the Xbox related news that came out of Tokyo Game Show had way more lasting impact. This is a list of what was shown to refresh everybody's memory. Flight Sim, Curious Case of Benedict Fox, A Plague Tale Requiem, Disney Dreamlight Valley, Sea of Thieves, Second Extinction, Atomic Heart, Gunfire Reborn, High on Life, Warhammer Darktide, Planet of Lana, Grounded, Pentiment, Knockout City, Under the Waves, Samsung TV stuff, Minecraft Legends, and Age of Empires. Jez?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Gamescom is it was the first year that it came back. Gamescom was kind of subdued this year. I actually physically went to Gamescom for the first time in years, like 2 or 3 years. I haven't been to Gamescom. So it was different. You know, Xbox's presence was very small. They invested not very much into it. Like the last time I've been to Gamescom was when they announced Age of Empires, and they rented out a separate building to do like an influencer sort of thing, and that's what they often did at Gamescom. The first time I went to Gamescom, there was like an Xbox influencer event, and they had bratwurst and chips, which is great, and you could meet Major Nelson, and there was game booths. First time I played Fable Legends was at Gamescom. So it was definitely a more subdued event. Their booth was very, very small, smallest I've ever seen an Xbox booth this side of EGX anyway. And that's the pandemic's partially to blame for that. But honestly, typically Gamescom is usually a reiteration of E3. I mean, it's always been that way. They usually don't announce new stuff at Gamescom, because even though Gamescom has like more footfall than E3, globally the eyeballs are always on E3. Even though like Gamescom has more people physically there, E3 has more media, I don't know, clout or whatever you want to call it. So I thought like it was cool that they at least went to Gamescom, because I was like, I wasn't sure that they would even have anything at Gamescom. But I got to play High on Life. I did a preview of High on Life. No, did I not do a preview of High on Life? No, I don't know. I did a preview of Pentiment. I played Pentiment. I played High on Life. I checked out the new DLC for Flight Simulator, and I also checked out Minecraft Legends. So there was some stuff there, but I think like another bit of the another problem with the puzzle there is that since Gamescom was a thing, we've had the rise of the Game Awards as a center to announce things, and it's almost like the Game Awards has more prestige. The Game Awards has more prestige.
Well, you also have Keely's own One Night Live, where he announces a bunch of stuff during that stream, right?
Yeah, so and even like Future's own PC Game Show it's grown a little bit as well. So there's more competition than before the pandemic as well. So I'm sort of like, I think next year will be better. Next year will be better for some of this stuff, right? This year was a bit of a bust.
I got a different. So here's I do agree that not a lot of stuff from Gamescom really hit outside of like High on Life and Lies of P. And I will say that the TGS stuff lasted longer in people's memories. I don't really think Xbox spent a lot of time or money on this. So I disagree with Makazilla's because he says he thinks they spent a lot of time or it's not worth the time and money. I don't really think they spent a lot of it, but they do have to be here. So this is the difference. Like, unfortunately, Sony's the market leader, and they don't gotta do shit, right? They don't have to show up to these things. They're really okay or secure in their market leadership position. I mean, hell, they just raised prices all across the world except for the US, and nothing really happened. They raised game prices too, and nothing really happened, right? So Xbox is third place. They're the underdog. So they have to work harder at these sort of things because they are the ones who have to convince fans that the brand's worth it. So Xbox has to be at Gamescom. They have to be at TGS. They have to be at E3. They have to do all these sort of things. It may not be fair that Sony doesn't have to do all these things, but that's the situation we're currently in. PlayStation can get away doing whatever they want. Not even having a showcase this year. All just little tiny state of plays. They can get away with not doing it. Their fans will make excuses for it, right? Their fans always make excuses for everything PlayStation does. But that's okay because that's just Sony and the way they operate, their power. When you're a market leader, you can sort of do these things. When you don't feel threatened by anybody, these are the sort of things that happen. So Xbox has to do it. Xbox has to be at Gamescom. They got to do these things. They have to win back consumer trust. So, I think it's worth going to Gamescom. This year, I don't think really they spent that much. But I think it's just, you're going to see next year they'll be at Gamescom with their bigger presence because they'll actually have more games of their own to share and showcase. And PlayStation probably won't be there. Just because
there'll be less COVID too.
Will there be, though? You never know.
Well, I don't know.
There's some talk about some like nightmare variant that's coming. So
yeah, there's a pretty nasty COVID wave going on right now in Europe.
Yeah.
But who knows what happened next year? Maybe we'll be dead. Maybe
Jazz. Yeah, true. But thank you, all the Patreons that wrote in. If you can do so at
Did we
Patreon.
get all the questions?
Those were all the questions. Patreon.com/XB2. Links in the description. And now we'll take some questions for the chat. See, you were worried that we were ending, and we literally been doing this for 30 minutes. But Finesseful J says, after the ABK, what's next for Team Xbox? Interesting question. I know Phil's talked about the idea of they can't press pause on acquisitions, so you got to wrap up certain affinity. You got to look at Asobo. Like, I think it's incredible that Asobo can go from Plague's Tale and Flight Sim. Like, those are two very distinct different types of games. I think they're incredibly, like, just look what they did, with Plague's Tale Requiem, right? In a time where, like, AAA game development takes forever, we're waiting for Xbox games to come out. They turned around the sequel to Plague's Tale Innocence in 3 years during a pandemic, and it's fantastic. I think it's better in every way than the first game. So you got to look at those, any other things, and I don't know if any other, publishers are on the market, so you got to look at that. They talked about like Japan stuff, so that might be what's next for Team Xbox. Skull King wants to know, what do you think of the recent Forge update? I'll be honest, I didn't watch the stuff. I think I did see screenshots and gameplay of the map that's set in space, which look really cool. I know the winter update's coming soon with co-op and all those things. I'm not really excited. I've said this before. I'll be excited when Battle Royale hits Halo, and we'll see whenever, if ever, that does. Justin wants to know if we know anything about an XO event, Jez. You know anything about a XO for this year?
I do not. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me, but there's also a pretty nasty COVID wave going on in London right now. But then again, they change location with XO. It's not always London, is it? So maybe they could do an XO in a place where there's no COVID right now.
Well, I mean, if they were doing an XO, you figured they'd have to announce it soon, right? We're at the end of October. You'd have to do it sometime in November. We know they want to bring it back. Maybe they bring it back next year. I don't know. Because I think if you do an XO, you can't just trot out the same games you've been trotting out. You got to show stuff that's new. I don't know. At least that's what I think.
I think EXO probably needs a rebrand around it being more of a community event, because EXO typically is in Q4, isn't it? That sort of clashes with the Game Awards. So maybe you do like an EXO event at the Game Awards, maybe? I think that's something they could explore. I think they'll bring EXO back. But I think it'll probably be more of a fan-oriented thing. Because there's so many different companies that are trying to take attention away now. Like, you got the Game Awards, you got E3, you got Gamescom. How much content do you physically have? But if Microsoft does manage to purchase Activision Blizzard, maybe they will need an extra event to fit it all in. But they'll also have BlizzCon, and they'll have QuakeCon and everything con. Man, how many events are Microsoft going to have? And we talked about this before, that they're going to have BlizzCon, QuakeCon, XO, E3, Xbox Showcase, Gamescom, blah, 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 blah. And they'll have so many games coming, because, one of the rumors that I put out there, I think, that Obsidian wanted to release a game every year for the next 3 years, at least one game. That was their plan. So, there's already rumors about Shadowrun, Fallout, all that kind of stuff. Maybe, in theory, they could have enough content to fit in multiple extra shows, but
okay,
who knows? Need a crystal ball to predict that shit.
Subzetic says, "Did you vote in the Minecraft live mob vote in-game experience? That's what I worked on. I'm sad if you didn't. # Team Sniffer." I hate to be the one to tell you this, Subzetic, but I don't give a shit about Minecraft. So, sorry I didn't vote in your Minecraft live mod vote, but I'm very happy for you if that's what you worked on and it went off well.
Subzedox is awesome. Great guy. Talk to him all the time. And I also did not vote in the thing, but I didn't vote because I knew the Sniffer was going to win.
Yeah.
Because the Sniffer was just obviously better than everything else. Yeah. So it was almost like, it's kind of like, what's the point in voting? Because the Sniffer's obviously going to win, and it won by a landslide.
Give us the super duper graphics pack. That's what we really want.
Yeah, that's what we really want. We don't want a Sniffer.
Yeah.
We want a super duper graphics pack, Subzedox.
Yeah, come on.
All that shit.
Give the fans what they want. Sofa King says, "Do you think the CMA wants to play chicken with Microsoft, especially what's going on in their economy?" I don't think they want to play chicken. Here's what I've said last week. I think they didn't really do any research. They relied heavily on Sony's input, and it's more just they have no clue about the video game market, and it's just pure incompetence. Personally,
yeah,
that's
right.
That's my feeling,
right.
And I think that'll change with Phase 2. Gavin House says, "Why no Starfield release date yet? If it's early 2023, surely we'd have it now." That's not true. That's not true at all. You don't get release dates until you're sure, and if it's early 2023, I mean, that could be they said any between now and June of next year. I mean, that's still. They could release in May, and that's still 5 months away. You could easily give a release date at the VMAs if you wanted to, have the whole audience there. I mean, they're starting to do a little bit of PR. They did that Todd Howard interview kind of thing. I think they're going to do more of those. So, I mean, nothing has really released that.
Talk about the Starfield.
Yeah, we did last week. We talked about it. The 250,000 lines of dialogue and whatnot, right?
That screenshot of the spacesuit with the the duct tape over the eye. Oh man,
I know you love it.
Oh god, it looks so damn good. Inject that shit into my face.
I mean, we got some release dates. We know when Dead Space is coming. We know when Resident Evil 4 is coming. We know when Legend of Zelda Twilight Abyss is coming, or Breath of the Wild 2. What's
Twilight of what?
Twilight what's it called?
What did you say?
I don't know. What?
What?
Huh? Is Legend of Zelda What's the new one called?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
Twilight Pokemon?
I don't know, but that's coming in May. So there's not, I mean, not that many release dates. I mean, do we have a release date for Wolong? I don't think so. So, let's see. We got a question here from Rambling Gamer Guy Jez. Do you feel like Microsoft and the Sony fans are starting to take the acquisition too personally? Most of it's just business, but it feels like things are especially nasty now. Things are always nasty.
Things are nasty. I've been getting emails and DMs from salty
Oh, I've
fanboys.
seen some of those. Oh, I wanted you to share the one on social media. Did you share that one?
Nah,
You have to. Just block out the name. Dude, just block out the guy's name and just post it. Please. It's hilarious. Well, it's hilarious because you just have to.
Nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to.
But if nobody sees who it is, their names, then what does it matter? Just block out the picture and the name. Just put it out there. Or you know what? I have the screenshot. I'll do it.
Nah. Well, it's just funny because people are taking it seriously. I was talking to someone from Xbox earlier that things seem especially nasty right now.
Oh yeah, nasty.
And my nasty. Because like I wrote that article and some people took it like I was painting Sony as the bad guy, but I literally wrote in that article, I don't begrudge, and like what I said in this podcast, I don't begrudge Sony doing what they're doing because it's business. It's fucking business, and they're good at the business. So like when people saying, "Oh, you're painting Sony as the bad guy," no, I'm not. I'm just describing what they do as their literal business. You know, and I don't blame them for doing that because PlayStation is their entire business. It's not kumbaya, you know. Some people are like really, really defensive when Sony gets criticized, you know, and I don't know why. For the life of me, I do not know why. But you shouldn't be defensive when Sony gets criticized because they're $1 billion corporation. They're not as big as Microsoft, but they're still $1 billion corporation, and it's okay to criticize $1 billion corporation. Doesn't matter whether it's Microsoft, doesn't matter whether it's Sony, whether it's Nintendo. Criticize $1 billion corporations and do it as much as you can because they are supposed to work for you. They're supposed to work for your money. And if they're not working for you, then the system is broken. Shock horror, the system is broken. But anyway,
okay.
I digress.
Jim Brown. Jez, you ready for this one?
Okay.
Jim Brown says, what is your take on the whole Platinum Games controversy?
Ooh, that's a subject we didn't talk about.
Yeah, we didn't.
Now, this was interesting because when I initially saw this, I just sort of believed, what's her name? Helena
Taylor, who did the voice of Bayonetta for the first two games, yes?
Yeah. I always took everything she said at face value because my mentality was, if she lies about this, no one's going to hire her ever again. So why would she lie? Turns out she did lie.
Or at least didn't tell the whole truth.
Yeah, she lies by omission, which I think is pretty much, it is lying, you know. If you lie by omission, you misrepresent the truth, it's still lying. And she did lie. She said that she was offered $4,000, but she didn't mention the fact that it was like across like however many sessions or whatever. And even though I think she still would have had an argument that $20,000 wasn't a fair cop, I think it wasn't. You know, this is a franchise that's made hundreds of millions of dollars, and you still want to pay the main voice actress only $20,000. I think she still would have had an argument there, but for whatever reason, she didn't mention that bit, which I think was a mistake. But because now it's just like, well, you look like a liar, mate. Why didn't you tell the whole truth? Why didn't you tell us the fact that they were offering this much or whatever? And, you know, there's a wider conversation to be had about residuals and how much voice actors should be paid, especially for franchises that are extremely popular, iconic even. You know, can you imagine like Keanu Reeves being offered less than $1 million for reappearing as Keanu as Neo in The Matrix 4 or whatever? Can't really imagine that. And, you know, yeah, it's not a directly comparable thing, but video games make a hell of a lot of money. But for whatever reason, video games are just not as respected as movies, even though they make roughly the same amount of money, the same amount of profit. So, yeah, I think there's still an argument to be made that voice actors aren't paid enough. But at the same time, it's like, damn, why did she lie? It's very strange because she kind of destroyed her argument, right?
Mm.
That's kind of my take on it. But at the same time, Hideki Kamiya's got me blocked, so fuck that guy.
Yeah, it was very much a lot of people. This is why you sort of always wait for all the information to come out, because there's
Yeah.
always two sides to every story, right? So she came out and people took her side. Then it came out and then people crapped all over Kamiya because he was like, "This isn't true." And then Jason Schreier came out and was like, "Well, here's all this other information that doesn't paint her in a good light." And like people were like, "Well, she lied." So now it's just, yeah, it's one of those things where I didn't really follow it too closely because it's more of a Nintendo thing with Bayonetta. So I was kind of just like, whatever. I mean, even though I do like Bayonetta, it's just kind of like I didn't really follow it too closely outside of like just seeing the headlines. But that's usually why you wait for all the information before really jumping the gun. I mean, you can have your opinion based on the information that's there, but like no. I mean, did you?
Yeah, you are. I jumped the gun.
You
I
did a lot. You weren't the only one that jumped the gun. So
I did jump.
don't hate yourself for it. I'm just saying, like, always wait to all the information to come out first before you really put yourself out there. So Ulfric wants to know, why is there hardly any hype for Redfall?
They haven't fucking showed anything.
Yeah.
Why was there to be hyped about? They've shown like a couple of little trailers and shit. Give us a deep dive, then we'll be hyped for it. It's kind of hard to be hyped for it when there's no real marketing yet. I think the marketing cycle for Redfall will pick up after the Game Awards, but they haven't really showed that much of it yet, and we haven't really heard anything else of it yet because I'm guessing they'll start picking up the hype cycle a little bit more closer to launch, I think. They're focusing on things that are more immediate. They're probably focusing on High Life and Pentiment, and they've been focusing on Grounded and that kind of stuff. But I think we'll see more hype for Redfall close to the truth.
Yeah,
Close to the truth.
Really, I mean, I really like. Yeah, I mean, I really like what we've seen of it so far, but we haven't really seen that much. So the hype will start to build when they start to show more. John G's been a member for 20 months. Said keep up the good work. We definitely will.
We'll try.
You. Yeah, we'll try at least. Let's see what else here. We have Gavin House wants to know Starfield release date announcement. I mean, VGAs would be a good place for that if it really is coming soon. Gary Sanchez says, what studios do you think Microsoft will acquire next? Certain Affinity, Asobo, Ep Software. I mean, I think they got to get Certain Affinity for Halo.
Certain Affinity, Asobo would be a good one. I kind of want them to get IO Interactive if Project Dragon is actually good. Maybe it's terrible. And Microsoft's like, oh shit, we don't want to buy this studio. You don't know. The game isn't even official yet, but we know they're working on it because they leaked it themselves in their job listings. So you have to assume Certain Affinity will be one there by Max Hoberman, obviously, long-time partner of Microsoft. Certain Affinity's they've been working on Halo as long as 343, basically. So yeah, and also they're working on Project Tatanka, which, by the way, I do believe is still on Slipspace.
Okay.
Project Tatanka probably is still on Slipspace Engine, despite all the rumors to the contrary. But yeah, and then you have to assume Asobo because Flight Simulator's done extremely well, and Asobo they might play Tale Requiem, right? I'm not getting that wrong.
Asobo makes Plague Tale, yes.
Yes. They're a very talented studio. Very, very talented studio. And not only are they talented, but believe it or not, there's also a Bing component to this round.
What is that?
Asobo's work on Flight Simulator is also being integrated into Bing Maps.
Oh, okay.
So like the 3D cities they make, they're being ported to Bing Maps. So there's like benefits to Asobo beyond Xbox. If anyone uses Bing for those sweet Microsoft rewards, like I do, Do you use Bing, Rand?
No, I
Do you
don't use Bing. Sorry.
Why not? Why not?
I use Google.
But don't you want the rewards, Microsoft
Eh,
rewards?
eh,
No, no, no.
eh.
You get free Game Pass if you use Microsoft rewards and Bing.
I mean, I'm maxed out on Game Pass right now. I got 3 years on it.
I think you just hate Microsoft, bro.
I told you before. I've told you guys repeatedly. I don't care about Microsoft. I care about Xbox. I don't care about Bing. I don't care about Surface. I don't care about anything else that Microsoft does. I only care about Xbox. Yeah.
Did you know today is the 12-year anniversary of Windows Phone 7?
No, I did not. I did not know
Well,
that.
now you do.
Now
Now
I know,
you know.
and now I'm dumber for it. Mandingo says, who sells more copies, Sonic or God of War? I mean, God of War Ragnarok will sell more than Sonic, the Sonic game, despite what Everborn Saga's saying. There hasn't been a good Sonic game in God knows how long. I don't know what the overall sales numbers are for the franchises, though. But you know what? I think that's a pretty good spot to end the show. Almost 4 hours. Hopefully, we helped get you through your Friday afternoon or Friday evening, depending on where you work, and hopefully we can help get you through your weekend. For those of you who are going to listen to this later, whether it's here on YouTube or on the podcast services, thank you guys so much. Make sure if you want to submit any questions for next week's show, there's the Patreon. And Tuesday, we should be doing the Xbox Ultimate Show, which is the exclusive podcast that we do for the Patreon subscribers. And maybe we'll give away a controller during that. Jez is still trying to figure that stuff out. And make sure if you guys, the holidays are coming, you want to get something for yourself or for a loved one, manscaped.com, code XB2 to get all your grooming essentials and boxers and stuff.
2
So
4-hour podcast.
4-hour podcast. So thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. We love you. And if you want to hear me sing, maybe you'll sing on Tuesday. I don't know. We'll see. Who knows what happens during these Xbox Ultimate shows. But thank you guys so much. And keep it gaming. Later.
Take care, everybody.